Pittsburgh, alongside my broadcast partner, the former Hokie, Andrew Wells. Jason Patterson here with you. And Andrew, this is the time of year that you begin to try to move a bit. Both these teams certainly capable of doing so.
Yeah, looking forward to another good weekend here in Blacksburg for baseball. Hokies coming in after that series win against Duke, but the Cardinal as well. Some momentum for winners of their last four and looking to continue that here this weekend.
No question these two teams can swing it. There are other question marks, certainly this time of year around a number of programs, but two outstanding offenses led by a couple of guys we're keeping a close eye on this weekend.
Yeah, we'll definitely pay attention to the offense this weekend as we take a look at Hudson Luterman. On the Virginia Tech side, you see him leading the club with 5 home runs this year. Good weekend at UVA a couple weeks back and kind of pacing this offense for Coach John Sheff. But he's a guy that they will lean on here in another ACC series to see if they can get him going early. Coming into this one, hitting about 300.
Few have come in to their college careers as heralded as Ritaro Sasaki, and the move to the leadoff spot really serving him well.
Yeah, I think that move has helped him tremendously. As you mentioned, you see the 7 home runs leading his club in that same category as Luterman on the other side. And they will try to keep Sasaki at bay here, the Hokies, as Stanford will look to get going early in game 1.
He'll try to jumpstart things against Brandon Yegish, who is on the mound in the opener for the Hokies.
Well, and you can't say enough good things about the left-hander. We'll talk a lot about pitching over the course of this weekend, but Brendan Yegish and what he was able to do last week against the Blue Devils here at home. Tremendous start on Friday night. Really good numbers. Hokies able to get that game 1 victory and kind of set him up for that series win.
Worth a little deeper look at his vitals and the numbers so far on the year for Yegish.
Yeah, Yegish, the tall, lanky left-hander, C6'3", 210. Out of Maryland, again, a bullpen guy that really had to step up last week in that starter role. First time in almost 2 years. See, the numbers are pretty good, 2-1, just 19 innings of work, but 20 strikeouts, 11 walks. We'll see 5 pitches from the left-hander here against Stanford.
Sasaki is now in the leadoff spot. Here's the rest of the starting lineup for Stanford behind him.
Yeah, you see Charlie Bates there highlighted, the shortstop on the defensive side for Stanford. He's got 10 multi-hit games this season, leading the team in that statistical category. And so again, you got Sasaki at the leadoff spot, Takheim 2 out of left field, and then we'll keep an eye on Charlie Bates in the 3-hole.
It was intended to be a 6 p.m. start. Certainly that's to the liking of the crew that came all the way from the West Coast, right? However, weather moving this one up, we believe there's a solid window to get it in here in English before the weather arrives a little later this evening. Happy you're with us on the ACC Network as we are set for baseball. Game 1 between the Hokies and the Cardinal. And the first pitch from Yegish just off the plate away. Well, we talk offense in the open. We reference pitching. It really is the question mark, isn't it, Andrew, as to what the weekend is going to be. Which of these staffs excel?
Yeah, pretty straightforward on the offensive side. Obviously, both teams looking to get going, keep the momentum that we touched on there in the open, but I do think pitching will be the theme. It always is in the game of baseball. 2 clubs that have struggled a bit. Virginia Tech, maybe numbers are a little bit skewed coming out of 2 huge series to start this season, down at Georgia Tech and then on the road at UVA. But the Cardinal as well, having to battle Wake Forest so far in this early season, Pitt their other ACC contest here so far this year.
You come off a little momentum, as you said, on the weekend piece at least, for both of these teams. The question, who can carry that over with the earlier beginning? And a 3-0 beginning as Sasaki shows patience against Yegish. In fact, on 4 pitches, he's going to draw a walk. So not just in those gaudier numbers that he's putting up since he worked his way in the leadoff spot, those type of at-bats show you he understands his role on this squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the move to the leadoff spot seems to have helped him so much. Yegish there in the lefty-lefty matchup struggles a little bit to find the zone, but also maybe a little bit of respect for the leadoff guy as he works around the zone and doesn't paint anything too pretty there on the 4-pitch walk.
He's, of course, one of a couple of lefties you're going to see in this, with Marsh going for Stanford today. So we got southpaws going toe-to-toe on a Friday in the ACC, no less.
I love it. I love it. Freshman versus senior. Marsh for the Cardinal. Yegish here, a senior for the Hokies, but 2 lefties nonetheless, as Yegish is able to find the strike zone there with pitch number 1.
This is hit well, and it is going to take no time for Stanford to establish a 2-0 lead in this contest as Tokheim right around on one, and Teddy Tokheim sends a message that there is no lag in terms of the travel for Stanford, right? The Cardinal ready to go with this earlier start.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about the travel. That one traveled a long way over the pitching lap there in left field. As you take another look, a ball on the inner half, and Tokheim just gets his hands through it. One more look there, running in on him. Not a terrible pitch from Yegish, but the number 2 hitter here in the lineup for the Cardinal makes Yegish and the Hokies pay. Early 2-0 lead here for the visitors.
And a Washington product making his presence known before the fans settle in good in this Friday opener. Big smiles. Always seems to start with that leadoff walk, doesn't it? When the inning's going to work your way, when you have that tone-setting moment in a contest, it was the free pass that made the difference. And I bring that up because in our conversation with both coaches this week, and we talked about the pitching staffs really being the question mark in this series. Which pitching staff excels may determine who wins the series. Both of them talked about the importance of throwing strikes this time of year. You see it at least factor in to one of the 2 runs right there. Here's Bates. You highlighted in the opening portion as we looked at the starting lineup for Stanford. And Charlie Bates stands in there, the shortstop, with already a couple of runs in.
Yeah, I see Yeager struggling to get in the zone. So keep an eye on the left-hander here and how he settles into this one.
Another one fouled off, so that'll even things 2-2. What do you see early on from him, velocity-wise?
Yeah, everything looks good there. I think, again, very careful to Sasaki in the leadoff spot. We can understand why, and then maybe just a pitch that he'd like back against Tokheim in the 2 holes. It's lifted to left field for the 2-run shot, but
and that's going to slice just foul down that left field side again. It'll stay 2-2.
Oh, you like that swing there from Bates, too. 2-2 count. Wondering if Yegish is able to get in there. Obviously don't want to run full here after the leadoff walk and then the home run there in the 2 spot. Want to record that first out, but Bates just trying to push one left side where there appears to be a lot of real estate.
Well, this, if you didn't know already, you know now, is a home run hitting squad. Stanford top to bottom when you look at their lineup, and this is a home run friendly yard. So both of these teams should be in position to play to their strength. As you look at the head man for Stanford, there's Coach Dave Esker, one of the great lifers in this game of college baseball. Of course, you'll remember him from his time Cal for now 8 seasons on the farm. Just a tremendous baseball guy all the way through. Led this team to 3 consecutive Omaha appearances, rode that offense into that trio of seasons, and as we said, at 8 years under his belt now as he works through campaign number 9. This is in the air, left field, and Bates going to be retired on the flyout out there for the initial out of the inning. Well, you saw the left fielder. The rest of the Hokies defense looks like this.
I see a couple new names. Ethan Gibson getting an opportunity at third base. Nick Licurdo able to secure that first out there in left. Licurdo, Gates, and Luderman left to right in the outfield. Pretty typical Daniel and Ethan Ball. Pete Daniel, Ethan Ball up the middle. And Sam Grube, been a common name over at first base for Virginia Tech.
Now, why not? You want him in there with the way he has performed. He's working his way to Blacksburg. Something we'll talk about, no doubt, when the lineup rolls around in the bottom of the inning. One step closer to that now. Yegish having secured an out and dealing with J.J. Moran, sophomore third baseman, taking his first licks. Now, one thing you want to answer out of that first base dugout, and it's a topic of conversation that we'll no doubt wade into deeper as the game rolls along, but the travel is a challenge. There's no question about it. You're coming across the country. They're doing it 5 times a season. The one question you have to answer right away out of that dugout is, are we ready to go today? And the answer is yes. Here's more proof of it. A base knock into left field, and Moran is aboard with a 1-out single. So no worse for the wearer, you might say, for the guys wearing Cardinal.
Yeah, if you go back to the Bates at bat for the first out, still a tremendous at bat for the 3-hole, able to work a full count, foul a couple pitches back, make Yegish work after the leadoff walk and the home run in the first and second spot in this lineup. And then there Moran gets behind, but no troubles there as he's able to bloop one over the head of Daniel at shortstop and continue this inning still with less than 2 outs.
He just found us. Teddy Tokheim with a 2-run blast. A no-doubter out of here beyond the left field fence after Rentaro Sasaki drew a leadoff walk. That's how the ball game started. It's 2-0 with a runner aboard.
Here's pitch 20 as well, with just 1 out recorded in that runner aboard, as you mentioned. 20th pitch for the left-hander Yegish. Definitely see he has control of all his pitches. He's using them here early, and he's finding the zone a little bit better than he did in that leadoff at bat against Sasaki. But you can see Stanford's being aggressive as well.
Nadai, the senior, in the heart of this lineup, marked by sophomores and freshmen to this point. Think on that, just how young the top portion of this lineup is. You had a sophomore in Sasaki, a freshman who knocked it out of the yard a moment ago, 2 sophomores in Bates and Moran, and now here's the first of the upperclassmen. He'll lead a couple of juniors to the charge, and there's one more sophomore before you get to the only other senior in this lineup. So a lot of youth for Stanford that Coach Esker and his crew are watching grow up before their very eyes. Taking care of the senior Nadai, the 5-hole hitter sat down on strikes, 2 away.
Well, a good job by Yegish to continue to battle. Didn't want the leadoff walk, didn't want the 2-0 deficit. Gives up a single after that, after recording an out, but you see there elevates the fastball and gets Nadai swinging through for a big second out, an opportunity to get out of this one with no further damage.
Eric Gion standing in the way. Second baseman bringing the second of the averages in this lineup up over 400 thus far on the season to the plate. He comes in a 405 hitter. And that's across 15 games in which he has played thus far, that those numbers you see have been pieced together. And here's a called strike.
Yeah, firm fastball again, outer half for Yegish, lefty-righty matchup here against Gion. Able to execute there for strike 2, way ahead. See a couple pitches that have been well executed from Yegish, one over the wall in left field and then the bloop single. Let's see what he does here, way ahead 0-2.
Gion not biting on this one. Leading it 2-0 in the opening frame. Check on the runner, Moran over at first.
Moran 3 for 5 on the year, stolen base category, so Yeager's trying to keep him out of scoring position.
Just misses on this pitch. Try to catch the outer corner. He's going to even things 2-2. You're tracking it quarter-century mark when you're talking about pitch count in this first inning of work for Yegish.
Yeah, that's a win within the win for Stanford here. Pitch count, bullpen, working early against the starter here for Virginia Tech.
Certainly in the opener of the series, even more magnified. Just going to stay in play third base side. The answer to that one, no. It's going to be right beside the Hokies dugout. It stays 2-2. Another pitch going to be needed.
Good job by Ethan Gibson there, who mentioned the name at third, getting an opportunity here in this series. Hasn't played a ton for the Hokies this year. Gets the start in game 1 of this ACC set. Finds the wall, gets all the way, knows he can backtrack. But as you mentioned, just a little too far there beyond the dugout for the Hokies down the third base line.
You see the umpire behind him as well. Jose Esteras is at third, Brandon Cooper at second, Matthew Bates at first. Gregory Street is calling the balls and strikes in this one as he indicates a 2-ball, 2-strike count with 2 down in the inning. Another chance at the hot corner and handled beautifully. A 5-3 putout brings this inning to a close. But it is marked by the one swing of the bat after the leadoff walk. Teddy Tokheim putting Stanford out front early in this early Friday start in the ACC. by offense. 2 runs already on the board. This is the group for Virginia Tech that will look to answer that, and you highlight Ethan Ball in the order right now.
Yeah, both 3 holes highlighted in this opener. Ethan Ball has been tremendous for the Hokies. You see hits in 19 of his 22 games played this season. So the second baseman's been very good. We touched on Luderman at the top in the 4-hole. But a lineup that's been pretty good top to bottom. A name that we'll keep an eye on is Henry Cook in the 8th spot.
Guy they're battling against, Quentin Marsh. He's a local product out of San Jose. You see the rest of the vitals for the second of the Southpaws climbing the bump on this day. What do you see in his numbers so far on the year, Andrew?
Well, small sample size, 6 2/3, so not a ton to work with, but the freshman has the 2-0 lead off the big shot, off the bat at Tokheim in the top half of the first. So as a pitcher, that's exactly what you're looking for, is a lead before you ever toe the rubber. So the freshman lefty here with an opportunity going against his counterpart in the senior Yegish on the other side.
Went to Valley Christian High in San Jose, California. Helped the team to the CCS Championship in 2023. All Faiths Classic title winner in 2025. Guy who has been a winner at all preparatory stops along the way before making his way onto the Stanford roster. And as Andrew told you, stake to a 2-0 advantage as Sam Group gets ready to stand in. Here's the hero from a weekend ago. The guy who in extra innings was able to come away with the base knock that proved the walk-off winner. Helped Virginia Tech claim the series against the Duke Blue Devils. That's really what this Virginia Tech team is trying to build on right now. He's a Pennsylvania native. One of a couple of finds from his prior locale that have been prominent on this Virginia Tech roster thus far.
I see a mid-80 fastball here from the freshman Marsh. Another lefty-lefty matchup. Had the same on the other side. So lefties in the lineup, lefties on the hill.
On that delivery and out of the zone. 2-1. Friday starter for Stanford looks to find his rhythm. It's put in play, going to dribble right in front of that Stanford dugout.
As you mentioned, Grube able to get it done last weekend against Duke. Pushed one back up the middle for the winning run.
Setting the final at 7-6 in that finale. For Coach John Sheff and company. And there's the head man here in Blacksburg.
Yeah, 2 9-year skippers on both sides here. You see the 235, 185. Sheff's built a solid program, been very successful for the Hokies here, and as we touched on at the top, both of these clubs still trying to find their way, but such a long ACC season. Hokies love being at home after being on the road early a couple weekends, trying to take advantage, and as you touched on, maybe beat some rain here today in game 1.
And both these coaches well-traveled, successful at all their stops before working with these ACC programs, and that is a called strike 3, so that'll take care of business on the opening batter that Quentin Marsh faces here. Freshman battles back, wins the battle.
Yeah, good pitch there. Good job to hang on to it there from Lavin as well behind the plate. You see Grube with the knee bend, like, I wish I could have got the bat off my shoulder, but credit Marsh there. Good execution and a big first out with the backwards K.
All-state performer was, as is often the case when you talk about prep baseball, before you arrive into perhaps more of a specialized role. And your collegiate career was an all-state outfielder, as well as his work atop the mound. But came out as you talk about 9-year head coaches, something about that number 9 in the game of baseball. He was the 9th ranked left-handed pitcher in the state of California coming out of his prep days. And inside the top 100 in terms of lefties across the country, according to Perfect Game. He was 98th out of high school in terms of left-handed pitchers as he faces Pete Daniel, the Nashville native. Get out of Music City, fouls this one off. 2-1. Pretty good, though. You talk about left-handers across the country. finds his way inside, cracking that top 100 for the guy on the bump for Stanford today, and top 10 in the Golden State. Of course, you saw the lineup earlier, right? And there's a Marsh in the starting lineup offensively as well. That, of course, his brother, Tatum. They got the brothers connection going on this Friday as well. Look how close this pitch was.
Looks like a pretty good pitch, outer half, framed up well.
The 3-2 kind of served out into right field. Nice piece of hitting for the Hokies. First knock of the contest, and they'll have a base runner in the opening inning.
You can appreciate that approach from Pete Daniel. Maybe a strikeout there pitch prior. Outer half, doesn't get the call, stays that way. Pete Daniel does a good job not trying to do too much with the pitch. Goes the other way, 3-4. Sasaki reaching forward in that first base position, but able to push it into right field and get that first runner aboard for Virginia Tech.
Junior picks up his 18th hit in his 60th at-bat of the year for an even 300 average now as he's aboard at first. Ball jumps on the first pitch. Speaking of Tatum Marsh, there is the right fielder. You see both brothers in action defensively this inning. He is joined by the remainder of the Stanford Cardinal defense, which looks like this.
Yeah, Moran and Sasaki on the corners, as you mentioned. Brother delivers the pitch. Quentin at the mound there, and Tatum with a good job. Long way to go in right field to come in and get that one. Ethan Hott holding down center field for Stanford, and now 2 outs here in the bottom half of the first.
Check on Daniel, who has stolen 4 of them without being caught so far on the season. Here's your highlight performer entering action this weekend. And he's got a solid single into right field. 2 aboard for the Hokies with 2 down.
Yeah, that continues there for Luderman, as you mentioned. We touched on him already, and he's been so good for Virginia Tech. Good job of going the other way again, not trying to do too much with the pitch from the left-hander. Getting a runner into scoring position, extending this inning, and giving Nick Licurdo an opportunity here at the plate.
Well, and you talked about it in the top half of the inning, Andrew, with Stanford forcing Yegas to throw a few more pitches here and there. Hokies at least doing that in the bottom of this first inning with Quentin Marsh. Licurdo trying to make up his mind on that first offering, and he'll be in an 0-1 hole.
Licurdo coming in at 258. Junior also been a good bat for the Hokies.
Driven home 9 and just over 60 ABs on the year. Has left the yard once. Also has a double when you're talking about extra base hits so far on the season. Either of those Hokies fans would certainly take right now. It's going to be right to the second baseman. Short route. And the inning comes to a close. So the Hokies, with a couple of base runners, a little bit of a threat. They do make Marsh throw a handful more pitches, but he's staked to a 2-0 lead after 1. Sensation we experienced on the final play of this half inning, and the Hokies wanting another look to be taken at this because there was some question as to whether or not there was contact with the bag, Andrew.
Yeah, fielder's choice 4-6 here. You see Bates coming across. He does not land on the bag as he's coming through. It does appear that he drags his foot, still able to make contact ahead of Luderman sliding in safely. But an opportunity there, 2 outs, bases loaded for Virginia Tech. Why wouldn't you take a look? And here's the outcome.
Remember, the call on the field was an out, so it is going to stay that way. And now the Cardinals are going to head to the dugout, and we'll go into the between innings break. More coming your way from Blacksburg on the other side as we head on toward inning number 2. For the Virginia Tech Hokies, what a start he had, Andrew, when you talk about the way he introduced himself to the Hokies faithful.
Well, yeah, again, take a look there. It some of his pitch types and where he was locating. He had very good command of all of his pitches, and a guy that has lived in the bullpen to come out of the pen as a starter. It's been over 2 years since he had played that role. That's a very big change for the left-hander. He handled it very well. Strong performance Friday night, and able to carry the Hokies into that Game 1 victory as Siri falls behind 2-0 on the long ball in the first, but hoping to get on track and extend through the middle part of this game and shrink the bullpen for Virginia Tech as we look ahead to a long weekend of baseball between Virginia Tech and Stanford, as we said here from the top of the second.
Of course, he was quite a find for the Hokies as he made the jump from Mount St. Mary's. Not the only player. Hokies leadoff batter, we were telling you, Groove, who was the hero a weekend ago, both of them coming over from Mount St. Mary's where they were teammates. And there's a connection there. Coach Sheff with the head man at Mount St. Mary's, once teammates on those UConn squads in the 80s. So amazing how things work in college baseball now, the portal. You know, it's a small world, about 2 or 3 degrees of separation from everybody, but that was the specific connection. Coach Sheff said, I don't know how much that played into them coming to Virginia Tech, but it is neat that we had that personal connection, and now 2 guys that have been major contributors already for the Hokies coming from that location.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Definitely 2 guys that have been very helpful in Yagish and Groove. And you see a different approach here. Instead of a 4-pitch walk to start this game against Sasaki in the top of the first, which led to the 2-run shot to follow, Yagish does a great job to get way ahead 0-2. Wastes one there to go 1-2, but a good job by the left-hander to try to get back in the zone early in the second inning.
And there's a called strike 3. Just what he wanted in response, as you said, the tone-setting moment of the second as he sets the leadoff man down on strikes.
Another lefty-lefty matchup, and Luke Lavin at the plate there, and you see a spinner that just runs over the middle. Lavin frozen. And a big first out for Yagish. Again, so good last week, able to command the zone, got ahead in the count, used his off-speed pitches effectively to keep Duke off balance. And after a shaky first here against the Cardinal, hoping he can settle into more of what he was all about a week ago.
Dealing with the other of the brothers, Marsh, now at the plate. With 1 down and nobody aboard in the second.
Tatum, the sophomore right fielder, so freshman on the hill, sophomore out and right. Out recorded in the last half.
Tatum Marsh in his sophomore campaign, where Quentin Marsh, today's starter, entering his collegiate career this year. The older of the brothers at the plate right now with 3.12 average across 20 games on the season, and that is just the bounce back inning you're looking for Yagish through the first 2/3 of it.
Yeah, again, commanding the zone there. Saw a breaking pitch that just said Marsh hung up. You see he does finally get the bat through the zone, but good movement there and good execution there by the left-hander. 2 quick outs here in the second, hoping to have a clean inning.
Hot, the only individual standing in the way of that now. The senior in the 9 spot, he alongside Nadai, the 2 senior leaders out of this lineup. Wondering about Yagish in his time at Mount St. Mary's. 9 games, 8 starts in his opening campaign. 24 strikeouts in just over 19 innings. And then last year, 15 games, 8 of those starts. The ERA trimmed to the mid-3s, and he had 69 strikeouts in 66 innings. Those are the numbers he brought with him to Blacksburg. We've showed you his numbers so far on the year. We talked about that start, introducing himself and what he's been able to do. But that's what he put together at Mount St. Mary's a season ago. 7 innings against Iona, late April, with 8 Ks, perhaps the high water mark in his collegiate career to this point. His 1-2 is up, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Boy, if he can find a way to finish hot off here out of the 9 spot, the economical nature of this inning certainly serving him well after what he battled through in the first.
Yeah, try to clean up the pitch count a little bit. Get a little confidence and momentum back on your side as well. And also trying to finish it here in the 9-hole instead of turning it over to the top at Sasaki. So an opportunity to keep the clean inning, finish out strong here in the 9-hole. Pitch count improves just a little bit. 41st pitch coming here in a full count.
Play catch with the senior backstop, Henry Cook. They'll work together nicely for a strikeout. How about that? Bouncing back and taking care of the side in that fashion after a 2-run first. Just the inning you hoped for Brendan Yegish. And he gets the Hokies back in the dugout quickly.
Yeah, like you said, a little more momentum, a lot more confidence. Left-hander spinning him in there well, getting that right-hander off balance at the plate. And then here, 3-2, elevated, strike 3. Hokies coming to the plate, bottom half.
And a lifetime memory to go with it. That's a reward for coming out to the yard, even if it starts a little earlier on this Friday. I know you had to rush over here, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a different schedule than anticipated, to your point.
6 o'clock, 1 o'clock is not. But we missed the rain, hopefully. It's coming, but not until later today is the belief here in Blacksburg. And it becomes a trio of day games this weekend series now between the Cardinal and the Hokies. Gates ahead of Gibson and then Cook after a solid inning from Yegish.
Good job by Marsh to answer. Way ahead 0-2. Sam Gates here. Good miss.
What's your perspective on the Hokies lineup top to bottom so far this season?
They've been pretty strong. I think there's a couple guys, including the one in the on-deck circle, that they're really looking to get going. A big bat for them that they have leaned on over the years.
Shift well placed here, and it's going to mean a 4-3 putout, even if from the outfield grass. Well, that's a good lead in to this AB. You know what a difference maker the guy striding to the plate can be if he's clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point of the lineup top to bottom and trying to get guys going, you know, I think Gibson, the likes of Cook, we don't see him today, but Trayson Hughes often in center field for the Hokies, not in the lineup today. Going to see a freshman in the 9 spot, Willie Hurt. So Coach Sheff's got more than those 9 guys that they can lean on, and him really trying to figure out the best recipe. But we touched on Stanford and how young they are, just 2 seniors. You look at the other side, another lineup, they do have a graduate in Sam Gates, but then just Yegish, the senior on the mound, and Henry Cook, the senior on deck. Pretty young club otherwise for Virginia Tech, so a lot of youth both ways.
And even those seniors that you're talking about, some of those coming from other places a season ago, so may not be new to college baseball, but as is so often the case around the country, new to the program. And it takes a little time to get everything in order when you're mixing and matching all the individual pieces in a given season.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to talk about culture a lot because it's a very different platform than what I played in a long time ago. You went to a 4-year school and you played 4 years at that school. Obviously with the portal, it's been very different here in the new landscape. Big cut there from Gibson to start this at bat. As we see the 2-2 now.
Yeah, that was a tone setter for this ride alongside Ethan Gibson. You know, you look at Stanford down there in that first base dugout, and what you're talking about is a reminder of some of the challenges the Cardinal face in that vein, because Coach Esker and his squad having to do a little differently. Working out for this young man atop the mound. That's a nice punch out to start the inning.
Yeah, Gibson didn't like one there, inner half. Take another look on that, and it's just kind of a floater that's really is running over the middle of the plate, ends up inner half on the right-hander coming out of the left hand of Marsh. Again, Virginia Tech doesn't like the call, but a big second out, and Marsh doing a great job to answer Yegish, who went in order in the top of the second, as Marsh looks to do the same here in the bottom half.
And what are we talking about with Stanford as the first pitch is fouled off, Andrew? Well, you have no grad school through which you can incorporate players coming out of the portal, and the academic hurdles that you have to face in Palo Alto at times, not allowing for those junior and senior transfers to come in and snatch a Stanford degree that you're going to get some other places. So for Coach Dave Esker and his staff, they're having to utilize that old school, you might call it, model of bringing in young arms, bringing in young players, and trying to still do that development piece to be on a 3 or 4 year cycle where they can have those grown-up players that can compete in the ACC and beyond.
Yeah, and I think to your point, the struggles of being able to bring them in to Stanford later in their career, you also then, once you have them, as they do here in this lineup, you've got to retain them and not see them go elsewhere, which again is just the new era of college sports beyond baseball.
Yeah, you may not, as this is a knock through the right side. Cook gets things started with a couple down in this inning. You may not have that grad program or that ability for that quick jump in a junior and senior campaign, but others around the country do. Here's a great look for Cook. A nice piece of hitting with 2 down.
Yeah, and I was off a hitter as well. And about a go, we talked about Gibson. He's kind of a new name that's getting some opportunities, and good to see him in the lineup. But that's the guy right there, Henry Cook, who has really struggled here early in the year that Coach Sheff and the Hokies are trying to get going. A leader for this club, the backstop behind the plate defensively, but offensively, Henry Cook, since very early in this season, has been trying to find his way. So hits like that, right side, able to get it into the outfield and extend this inning. That's a huge confidence booster for the catcher.
Yeah, he's certainly the leader guy we want to underscore and talk about. You also factor in what he does aside from these moments at the plate. You said it, the handling of this staff, and all that comes with a big piece of what he contributes for the Hokies as well. Speaking of young players, here's the freshman Hurd out of the 9th spot. In-state product inside the Commonwealth product out of Midlothian.
Yeah, I think this is a guy that this Virginia Tech staff is very high on and hoping can be a contributor for a long time. We've talked a lot already about personnel and rosters, both of these clubs being pretty young as they present themselves today. But in this new era, as he draws the 4-pitch walk to put 2 aboard here with 2 outs, you not only have to get them here, you then have to find a way to keep them. And it's been very challenging for these coaching staffs across the country with the competitive nature of the portal and these student athletes understanding the opportunity to move on at any given point.
Yeah, that's true on both sides, and everybody battling that one in the new landscape of college sports.
So what you like here, if you're Virginia Tech, obviously Yegish able to get the 2 outs at the 9th spot, was trying to get out of it before turning it over, did just that with the 3 strikeouts in the top half. But now Virginia Tech looked like they were going in similar fashion, 4-3 put out for Gates, and then Gibson with the backwards K. But good job by Cook and Hurd to extend this inning, get it back to the top of the lineup for the Hokies. And as they trail 2 here, hoping to do some damage early in this one to even up.
Defensive communication from Luke Lavin about how they're going to handle this with 2 aboard and 2 down. Yeah, we're just going to make the point there on a tremendous AB to the point you're making from Willie Hurd. You know, just 11 official plate appearances, which obviously that doesn't factor into, but 4 out of 11 with the 4 hits and already having driven home a run in the early stages of his career. But a nice AB of not trying to do too much in that scenario and forcing Marsh to throw a few more pitches here in the second.
Yeah, so you see both lefties right around that 40 mark as Yegish came off low 40s. 41st pitch coming for Marsh here with an out to get in the second.
He's dealing with Rube, who's trying to help the cause of his former teammate atop the bump. And this one, as the Hokies trail it 2-0. Talking about the starter for Virginia Tech, both of them coming over. Mount St. Mary's, as we documented an inning or so ago. That's right over the outer third for a called strike. A lot of life in the yard. Fans got the memo that this was starting a little earlier, and they continue to turn out here. Maybe not the crowd you would have had on a Friday night, but they're certainly making their presence known. 2 is up, so full contingency needing to be thrown to Groove.
I see the head nod for Marsh there as well as he elevates that fastball up and out of the zone. Change the eye level for Groove, maybe trying to set up one here at 3-2. Big pitch coming.
Guy who struck out looking to open the Hokies portion offensively today, and he fights this off. Boy, that was a tough pitch to do that with.
Yes, it was. Just enough to keep it going. Not really anything he could do with that pitch on the productive end, but enough to spoil it there Marsh to groove and pushes it back to the Hokie side of the backstop. Another 3-2 on its way.
Change of pace at 76 with all kind of action on it. He will fight off another into the netting down that third base side. Groove battling here. Sam Groove closing in on 90 at-bats on the year. This is his 89th to be specific. He's driven home 21 on the season. Number 22 sitting out there would put the Hokies on the board. Form of Cook, who's at second base. Instead, he'll load him up. Patience pays dividends. Bases full of Hokies for the two-hole hitter.
That was just a good battle there, too. Lefty-lefty matchup. Groove does a good job to spoil a couple. Like you said, good movement from Marsh above the hill here. Second time through, so you see him mixing his pitches a little bit more. Lived off speed, try to run a couple fastballs up. Good discipline there from Groove to leave it alone and load the bases for Daniel here.
Yates grounded out to the right side into the shallow right field, innocently enough. Gibson struck out looking. Everything that you have seen develop happening since. Cook jump-started it with a single, hurt the walk, and now Groove the same. There is action with Dugan getting loose in the Stanford bullpen. No longer any margin for error for Quentin Marsh.
Keeps that off speed right there after getting hit with a strike, floating away and out of the zone.
Right back up the middle and through. Into center field. That's going to be enough to tie the game. How about Daniel working it through? And the Hokies equalizing with a two-out rally. In the bottom of two, brought your way by the guy who wears jersey number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great job by the Hokies collectively. Again, the 4-3 put out, as you mentioned, to start things, and then a backwards K. Marsh was grooving here in the second. But Henry Cook able to push one to the right side. Willie Hurt drawing the walk. Sam Groove a walk as well. Full count. And then there, Pete Daniel doesn't even hit it very hard, but enough off the turf to bounce it over the head of Marsh, put it into center field. Runners on the move, 2 in. Hokies have him at the corner, enough for the first mound visit here for Stanford.
Coach Esker walking us through what it has been like, trying to find the pieces in the right places on the pitching staff so far this year, and how one inning to the next can be an adventure. This is a reminder of it as Stanford gathers up to talk it over. One batter to the next right now, because you said it, Andrew, he was on the verge of what was going to be a second consecutive posted 0, and the Hokies have made some noise with 2 away.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see Nick Dugan get going a little bit more down there in the pen as part of that mound visit. And go back to the first inning and the leadoff walk on 4 pitches. Hurts Yegish and the Hokies with the 2-run shot in the very next at bat. You get 2 outs, it can be just as detrimental to extend that inning as Virginia Tech's been able to do with the struggles for Marsh. A couple walks, a couple singles, resulting in 2 runs here, tie ball game, and Virginia Tech looking for more.
First pitch now. Nick Dugan, a senior right-hander out of Eureka, California, the guy warming. And it is Ethan Ball at the plate. Count 1-0 on the Hokies freshman. Put in play. Second baseman with a sidearm toss to keep it tied. But a 2-out, 2-run rally for the Hokies on a 2 RBI knock from Pete Daniel. He's giving us a brand new ball game after 2. Third inning. He's already matched his home run total from a season ago and has the average right where it ended up, Andrew. A lot of this coming since he found his way to the leadoff spot. That's been the catalyst for the offensive resurgence.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you see the numbers, 7 home runs both seasons, but here very early in this one as Sasaki comes to the plate and saw the 4-pitch walk to start the game for Stanford, now trying to find a way with his bat as Yagish will toe the rubber, but I think he's coming into his own. Momentum kind of in his favor, and if you're Virginia Tech, someone you want to keep at bay this weekend here in this series.
So many eyeballs on him from the time he arrived. Farm College baseball, welcoming a guy you expect to be a star when all is said and done, and with swings like this, he reminds you just how much power there is as he drives it out of here to right field. Home run number 8. Sasaki just eclipsed his 2025 total on the first pitch of the 3rd inning.
Oh, you heard us talking about it. He said, hey, we're not tied up anymore. 8 this season compared to the 7 from last year, and give the leadoff guy credit. Brendan Yagish with the 4-pitch walk to Sasaki again, back to start this game, and great job by the left-hander to get in the zone, but Sasaki takes advantage and off to celebrate as the Hokies were able to even up 2-2, and a great job here by Stanford to get that lead right back in their dugout on the solo shot from the left-hander. Gets into the bullpen down there in the right field corner.
Yeah, this is a snapshot of what was expected of Rentaro Sasaki as he entered his collegiate career. The sophomore, you know, so many times we talk about a guy who has a monster freshman campaign and they go into a sophomore slump. He's doing just the opposite, and you have to love it if you're Stanford fans.
Absolutely, absolutely. Staying with it, not getting discouraged, finding a way. Again, his coaching staff helping him as that one's turned around in a hurry for a single to right field. But
just going to say, this is the guy who left the yard to left field the last time. Now he goes the other way here. And well, Andrew, those top 2 guys in the order seeing it pretty well on what's. You got to remember, this is like a morning start for Stanford. You know, we talked about it being a little earlier, but tack on 3 hours, or I guess you might say subtract 3 hours from where we really are. That's where the bodies of the Cardinal are, but they're no worse for the wear thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. They came to play. They've been aggressive at the plate. We saw that in the first.
Snapped right back. Yagish going to start the turn of the twin killing. It was much needed for Virginia Tech, and the Hokies put a couple of outs on the scoreboard after the Sasaki homer. Well, Yagish showing how well he filled his position.
Well, yeah, it's always great to get that ground ball and let your defense work, but even better as a pitcher when you're able to be part of it. You see the 1-6-3 put out there. As you mentioned, Yagish fielding his position. Groove's got to stretch forward a little bit down there at first, but a good turnover nonetheless after the home run and the single to quiet the bats for Stanford. Again, they've been very aggressive at the plate. We've really seen 2 different innings from Yagish back in the first, struggled a little bit to give up the 2 spot, settled in nicely with 3 strikeouts in the second. And then right here, Stanford comes out with the home run, the single, and you think damage control all over again. But 1 pitch away, 1-6-3 execution. Hokies a pitch away from getting back into the dugout.
Now, I saw that wry smile on the face of the former pitcher up here in the booth whenever he started the turn of that double play. By the way, before the Sasaki homer on that first pitch, he had thrown 8 consecutive first pitch strikes and held 0-2 counts to the previous 5 batters. So that's the kind of groove that Yagish was working himself into before Sasaki came striding to the plate and delivered his 8th home run of the season to put Stanford back out front.
That's just how the game goes too, right? You saw the hard-throwing right-hander Logan Eisenrich running for the pen from the Hokies dugout after the single that followed the home run. I'd imagine he's resting now out in the bullpen after the double play ball.
Call him off. Here's the 1-1 pitch and make it 1-2 as he goes up around the eyes and blows this by Moran. Moran singled his first time up. 4 hits apiece on the scoreboard between these 2 teams, and Moran had 1 of them. That, of course, was back in the opening inning. Next pitch going to be the half-century mark for Brendan Yagish. And this is the top of the 3rd inning. And he's going to be required to throw a few more here in the 3rd, as that's a solid base knock. Moran, a 2-for-2 start to the day.
Yeah, that one there, 106 off the bat, and as you mentioned, reaching safely now twice here in this one, J.J. Moran, as he turned that one around in a hurry. And we talked about the Hokies able to extend the inning with 2 outs. Good enough for a 2-2 ball game, but great job by Stanford to answer with the solo shot from Sasaki. And now Moran aboard with 2 outs, seeing if they can push another one across.
Runner on the move, the throw in behind it. Pretty nicely handled by Ball just to keep that on the infield. So man in scoring position with 2 down after Moran swipes his 4th of the season. He's been caught a couple of times, but successful now on 4 occasions.
Yeah, that one ran up the baseline out of the hand of Henry Cook behind the plate. So consistent on that throw down. Great job by Ethan Ball, as you mentioned, to keep that one here in the infield and save an extra 90.
Rodriguez pounds the mitt, but a little bit out of the zone. Nadi, one of the, as we said, guys who has been around for a while. Experience has seen the success of this program and the senior waves through it. For Stanford, as we were talking about, working through a cycle of young players being developed right now. And the record coming in at 11-12, 1-5 in the ACC. Maybe not going to catch your attention right away, but this is one of those teams with a high ceiling as these players develop. Here's a liner and a shortstop. He helped even things up an inning ago, but this swing by Sasaki changing everything. His home run putting Stanford back out front. By offense, couple of home runs for Stanford so far, Andrew, and the Cardinals out front by a single digit.
Yeah, you saw the shot there by Tokine back in the first after the leadoff walk. Great job there by Pete Daniel, the shortstop for Virginia Tech, to deliver the equalizer on a ball up the middle, 2-2 tie. But then just in the last half, Sasaki, who we continue to talk about, enough power to get it lifted. Bullpen's excited. 3-2 ball game. Stanford with the 1-run lead.
High home run for Sasaki. 2 home runs on one side, 2-out noise on the other. And that 2-out noise enough to mean a new Stanford pitcher here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Nick Dugan, senior, taking over.
Nick Dugan coming in behind Quentin Marsh, who got through those first 2. Again, the left-hander looked pretty good. Take a look at Dugan's numbers: 29 strikeouts, just 11 walks. He will try to bridge the middle of this one as the Hokies able to get in the Stanford pen first. But we've talked a lot about pitch count, and we've seen both of the guys run it up. Yegish on the other side as well, and some activity in the bullpen for Virginia Tech. So expect a lot of arms both ways, and right now it's up to Dugan to try to find a way to deliver the shutdown inning after Sasaki was able to reestablish the lead for the visitors at 3-2 with that ball that traveled a long way down the right side.
A lot of arms both ways that have been used and will no doubt the rest of the way be used in a variety of ways. Starting roles, bullpen roles. These teams try to figure out. You're still in the portion of the season where you're doing just that. Who goes where on these pitching steps? Luderman in there to lead things off. Close the book. Quentin Marsh. As Dugan takes over, and he'll be welcomed into the contest with a Luderman single between diving fielders on the left side of the infield. Nicely done.
Well, we've seen the 2 long balls for Stanford in this one, consisting of all 3 runs for them. Virginia Tech, not the long ball, but have found the holes. 2 to the right side earlier. This one, Luderman turning it over left side, 5-6 into left field to get this inning started here with no outs recorded. And 10 total hits already in this ball game, 5 both ways. So good baseball early in this one.
If you like offense, these 3 days probably going to be of your variety, as the numbers already indicate. Hokies going to try to do it a little differently here, Andrew. They waited until there were 2 outs to make all that noise in the 2-run second inning. Getting this one started knock here in the 3rd. Well, it speaks to where we're going to be with both of these staffs along the way, with where the pitch count is on one side, the fact that you've already got a second pitcher into the game for Stanford right now. And this is the Friday contest, the opener. So you've got 2 more games in behind this, in which figuring out how you handle those different pieces of the puzzle from a staff standpoint. One of the major strategy categories to try and win an ACC series in Blacksburg this weekend. That's hit well toward the right center field gap, and it is going to one-hop the fence. Luderman around third. Here comes the throw to the plate. It's in behind his arrival. They'll try it at third base, safe there as well. Just like that, the Hokies have tied it up, and they're looking for the lead after the three-bagger.
Well, great job by Nick Licurdo. You can tell off the bat there that one was getting to the gap, as Tatum Marsh had a long way to go in right field. And Luderman on his horse from first, able to score. On the relay here, I think if you're Coach Esker, you're looking for an opportunity to get this one to the middle of the infield as Licurdo heads up play there at second base, sees the ball going all the way to the plate, picks up another 90 into third with nobody out instead of keeping him at second base with a ball that Sasaki might be able to cut off.
First triple of the year for Licurdo, and he joins his teammates in that middle portion of the Hokies lineup, because Luderman and the guy at the plate right now, Gates, who hit in front of him, behind him, also have one of those apiece this season. Sasaki stabs this at first, and that's an important initial out in the frame for Stanford.
Yes, it is, because that looks like an easy play, but I can promise you it's not. That ball off the left-handed bat of Gates is spinning over there, and it's getting on you in a hurry. Saw Sasaki in on the corner there ahead of the base. Quick reaction there. Great job by the first baseman for the first out, and able to keep Licurdo put down at third.
Reminds you of the defensive ability there alongside all those offensive expectations for Sasaki. He's still on the cut of that turf. And will give way, everybody gives way to the third baseman here, and those are two quick outs after the loud triple which tied the game. Suddenly, it looks as if Dugan is in position to work out of this, preventing the Hokies from taking their lead. And by the way, the three-bagger we've talked about officially going to go in the scorebook as a double with a throw coming into the plate. But it was certainly the moment offensively thus far for Virginia Tech. They're trying to cash it in for the lead.
Yeah, they are, and we've seen so many similar themes right there. Again, Stanford looks to be in trouble with that double, advancing a third on the ball into the plate, as you mentioned, tying things at three, but then just like that, liner to first, pop up over the middle of the diamond. And as a pitcher, I have to appreciate that one too. Hey boys, I threw the pitch, you come in here and find it and catch it. You can see Dugan getting out of the way there and making way for Moran in the third base spot, able to come in and secure out number two.
You just don't want to cause anybody any problems when you're atop that bump, right? The ball goes in the air that high. Same drill again, this one a little deeper onto the infield, in behind the mound. Going to be handled by the shortstop. And a hot shot to first, followed by a couple of pop-ups. Going to leave Licurdo stranded at third, but the Hokies do snag a run and even things up after three. Freshly behind us, we're reminded of all the big league connections to these two rosters.
Yeah, we're talking ACC play, so we know there's plenty that are moving on to play at the next level. You see Tommy Edman there for the Dodgers, familiar face here in Blacksburg. TJ Rumfield playing with the Rockies and a move over from the Yankees. AJ Hinch, manager for Detroit, and there's Warren Schaefer, my shortstop from the good old days, 04 to 07 here in Blacksburg, taking on for the Colorado Rockies here in year number one.
A couple of programs that have made their marks on the big leagues, and you take a look at Stanford with, knocking on the door of double digits out of that first team that Coach Esker put together on major league rosters the last couple of years. Really prevalent, those that have come off the farm and worked their way into big league baseball. You're watching the future of the sport on a Friday like this.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's fun to see those guys go on and have success at the next level. Certainly not an easy feat, and that's why you don't see a ton of names, but those guys are very much respected and enjoy what they're doing. Again, Warren, and being able to step into that role, been with the Rockies organization for as long as I can remember, so excited for him. Great ball player, but even better person, and look forward to following him this season.
some of the threads there got to be personally familiar. That's going to bring back some memories, right?
That's exactly right. That's like I said during the break, the good old days there. Old white jersey with the solid script there on the front. Warren, such a solid shortstop for us. Really good hands up the middle, and ball on the left side. You pretty much count on and out from that side of the infield.
Same location, even if this yard looks a little different these days. We're happy to have you with us at English for the opener between the Stanford Cardinal and Virginia Tech Hokies. 2 in the first, 1 in the third on that loud swing from Sasaki for the Cardinal. And 2 in the second, 1 in the third for Virginia Tech. And with 11 hits on the board between them, we're tied at 3 apiece between the Cardinal and the Hokies. It's going to be 6, 7, and 8. The hitters scheduled in this frame against Yegish, who remains. Balled off. How about Yegish just so far? How do you put in perspective what we've seen from him across the first 3+ now?
Well, I'd say last week against Duke, spectacular. To your point here tonight, as 60 pitches have been delivered, left-handers battling, and you like the fight. First inning, struggled a little bit, gave up the home run ball. Club at a deficit, came back, settled in very nicely in the second inning. Did a good job to get back on track after the solo shot to Sasaki in the third.
Has outlasted his counterpart, and this will help. Has a nice play over there at third. We'll see to it as Gibson slings it across that he gets the out in the opening AB of the fourth. Boy, solid play, and that'll help extend your afternoon when you got that kind of work happening behind you.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly right. Let your defense work. That's a tremendous play by Gibson over at third base. Great pick by Grube as well on the throw over for the 5-3 putout. But as a pitcher, when you're fighting, maybe you don't have your best stuff. You're working all your pitches to be able to pick up an out like that here to start the fourth. That's very helpful for your Friday afternoon on the bump.
Something to be said for outlasting the other guy as well when you're trying to make sure you save as many arms, as you said, in that bullpen as possible, because you know they're going to be needed across the course of this weekend series with the way these two teams can swing it.
Well, and I know I always touch on that, but that's such a common theme for me as we take another look at Gibson and flashing the leather on the third base side. See how quickly he's able to get to his feet. He says, I didn't put enough on it, but I'm going to rely on my first baseman to scoop it for out number 1.
A luxury when you have a guy that can do it as effectively as Grube did over there a moment ago. Seven-hole hitter with 3 driven out of the yard along the way this season. Everybody, except for the guy on deck, Tatum Marshall, with at least a home run in the Stanford order, and most everybody, if you take the 9-hole hitter hot out of the equation as well, with 3 or more of them this season. And Andrew, those first 3 guys, you talk about what they've been able to do. 7 home runs, 6 home runs, 7 home runs to lead into the charge for this Stanford squad. So, yes, another hitter-friendly yard, like what they experienced there at Sunken, but it is stacked, this lineup with home run hitters.
Yeah, great job there by Yegish to execute. See a spinner here, lefty-lefty matchup, and Lavin just extended, unable to get to the ball. Good job by Cook to hang on to it at the bottom of the zone for a big second out. But you mentioned 7-6-7, 1-2-3. How about middle of the lineup, 4-5-6? They follow with 5 home runs, 6 home runs, and 6 home runs respectively. So very good through the lineup, and that's exactly what Yegish is up against here in this game 1 and a 3-3 tie, trying to work effectively here through 4 full innings.
Well, and it's top to bottom. The point being made there that the 7-hole hitter he just retired, a trio of home runs to his credit on the year. So it is a very talented roster when it comes to hitting them airborne. As we've already seen, all the runs for Stanford so far in this one have come via the long ball. Eddie Tokheim with a 2-run shot to left, and Sasaki with his solo blast to right field. The 1-1 to Marsh. And we mentioned it, Marsh, the only guy in the lineup without won this season, but you're talking about a guy who's just wading into action. So, matter of time for Tatum Marsh. His first at bat a moment ago, a strikeout back in the second inning. And there's a base knock. Gets things jump started here with a single and just his second AB 2026.
I was just going to say the theme continues. Again, we've talked about the Hokies extending with 2 outs. Why not Stanford here as the Hokies even up in the last half? They're trying to find a way to make something happen with 2 outs again. So a lot of themes very consistent here early in this ballgame.
And we were talking about how top-heavy, effective that is, top-heavy this lineup has been. That's the first base knock for somebody beyond the 4-hole in this contest for Stanford. But a good job recovering here, and there is a 0. Jeff, Coach Yegish there putting up a nice inning. He's really battled through for you today, right in it at 3-3.
Yeah, I mean, he's giving us his best, and you know, they got some good hitters. I mean, obviously, you know, Stanford's good. They have good players, so it's kind of going to be another back and forth deal like it's been in the past. But you know, we feel good about what Brandon's doing right now for the most part.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the back and forth. Obviously able to get in the bullpen on the other side, which is advantage Hokies. How do you continue here offensively and manage the pen down the stretch?
I mean, we just have to have quality at bats, man. You know, it's tough when you're facing a different guy when you get in there. I get it, but you know, we got ACC level hitters here, and we've got to be able to you know, kind of move on from the last guy and adjust to the new guy, and handle his own. And that's what we have to do. We have tough at-bats.
We appreciate you, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
His team, as we said with Stanford a bit earlier, embracing the earlier start today, 3-3 as we move forward into this bottom of the 4th inning. You know, and you can hear it, you can almost see it in his responses and reactions. These Fridays in the ACC are so critical.
Well, they are. I talk momentum all the time in the game of baseball. You get game 1, you're 1 away from winning a series. For Virginia Tech, you're at home.
Left side, nice play. Boy, the 2 third basemen in this game already making their mark on it as Moran handles that nicely.
And first baseman, too. Again, if we haven't seen the theme on both sides all over again, we just saw Gibson to Grube an inning ago. First baseman picks it. There, great job by Moran to pick that one up. And then Sasaki, look at this stab here at first base as he's got to really get stretched out, make sure that he keeps contact there with the bag. So there's a 5-3 to answer the 5-3 on the other side and a big first out.
Well, and keep in mind for Sasaki, we saw him handle that knuckler coming hot to him at first base a little bit ago. And now also one from across the diamond. So you're impressed with Sasaki defensively to this point, not to mention the blast, the solo shot to right, which was Stanford's 3rd run offensively. But you were talking momentum, and it certainly seems to be a real thing on these Fridays in the conference.
Well, that's right. You got 6 hits each way. So again, 12 hits early. There's less zeros than there are other numbers up there on the board. So both skippers know that runs are going to be scored in this one, and leaning on Coach Sheff again, they're able to get into the bullpen here first on the Stanford side, which is a win for Virginia Tech. But you know, here all the way to the end, both teams are going to put up runs. We've seen good bats, we've seen good plate appearances, as Coach Sheff will be critical down the stretch and making sure that the Hokies offense continues to work these pitchers. Same thing for Stanford on the other side.
Routine and to left. So kind there. A couple gone. Well, look no further than the most recent series for Virginia Tech. That's the formula they used against Duke. It was a 7-1 win in the opener. Then obviously, once the series was even, they were able to battle through that 7-6 victory in the finale. Rube, who you just saw there a moment ago, turning them into walk-off winners for the series. But the tone set with that 7-1 victory in the series opener, trying to do that again here. So both these teams looking to grab this baseball game by the reins. It is up for grabs as we work through the middle frames. One of the reasons, Pete Daniel, he had the 2-out, 2-run knock back in inning number 2. So for these Hokies hitters, they go from Marsh, the lefty, at the outset. And dealing with Dugan, the righty, now. Hasn't mattered to Daniel to this point, as success against both of the arms he's seen from Stanford today.
Yeah, Pete Daniel having himself a day. He's now reached safely in all of his at-bats. As you mentioned, able to turn another one around. And don't forget about the names of Clay Grady, the shortstop that we've seen in that position so long. Like he's getting really close to returning from an injury, but what a job Pete Daniel has done in that 6th spot defensively for Virginia Tech, and continuing to show the bat here as he turns that one around and able to get aboard with 2 outs.
High in the air, looks like the shortstop has a beat on it, and does. Yeah, the point you're making important. When you have about half your lineup turn over from one year to the next, those familiar faces with stability make a difference. We got some stability in this game. A couple of zeros up now in a 3-3 contest. Back to the top of the order for Stanford, where the damage has been done by the Cardinals thus far.
Yes, he 1 through 4, especially 5 for 7 on the day. The 2 home runs, that guy there able to lift 1 down the right field line. But 5 through 9 in a long series, if you're Coach Esker hoping they can get going, you see just 1 for 10 and 5 strikeouts on the latter half of the 9 coming to the plate for Stanford. Nonetheless, 3-3 ball game, 6 hits for Stanford, 7 for the Hokies, and a lot of baseball left here in game 1.
Sasaki striding toward the plate. Stellar defensive moments for him. Go alongside that high fly ball that sailed on beyond the right field fence in his most recent at-bat. Walk in the first inning and scored on the 2-run blast from Togan. The guy on deck right now. Here's the first pitch of inning number 5 for the midway point. You know, first ever trip for the Stanford Cardinals to here in Blacksburg. They had all kind of positive things to say about the facility, the environment. The weather might be a little bit of an adjustment for a group of guys used to the consistent scenario you often get in the Bay Area, but they talked about how impressed they were with the yard and everything related to the Virginia Tech environment. Always nice to hear that when you have a group come in somewhere for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Virginia Tech has taken a lot of pride in that in the previous years to get to this point, as Jagish does a good job of bouncing one there after getting ahead 0-2. As you mentioned, good respect from your foe coming in from across the country, but again, give this program and this department credit for what they've been able to do for this park. You mentioned playing here for as long as we can remember, but not necessarily on this turf and with these amenities and what they've been able to build to create the environment that they have, and providing a great opportunity for baseball here in the New River Valley.
Yeah, certainly a draw for college baseball players. Think about some of those snapshots we've seen of what can be reality at a yard like this. Here's a 2-2, swinging through it. Sasaki is retired for the first time as he goes down on strikes.
Well, win for Jagish there. We talked about 1 through 4 and what they've been able to do. Sasaki's been a big part of that. Third time through the lineup for Brendan Jagish, and as I expected, maybe lefty-lefty matchup and an opportunity to go to the pen, as we'll get just that from pitching coach Doug Willey out of the dugout and expect a move here. But Jagish battled, left-hander fought, kept his team in this ball game in a 3-3 tie.
Well, and what better final memory to leave and final taste to leave in the mind and heart of Jagish, who is going to depart after striking out one of the premier hitters in the Atlantic Coast Conference from a sheer skill department. Change being made. We'll walk you through it on the other side in a 3-3 ball game in Blacksburg.
You've worked hard for your money. U.S. Bank Smartly accounts put it to work for you. It's simple. U.S. Bank Smartly accounts work together, earning you exclusive rates and tailored rewards. U.S. Bank Smartly checking earns smart rewards on day one, $1. U.S. Bank Smartly Savings grows your money to help achieve your financial goals and amplify your earnings with unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase with the U.S. Bank Smartly Visa Signature Card. The more Smartly accounts you have, the more you can earn. U.S. Bank Smartly. Earn, save, grow.
Having the opportunity to work with the masters is something that we take really seriously.
Our mission at Goldbelly is delivering the world's most magical food experiences. And without our partnership with UPS, this would not be possible.
Blast, just 2 hitters into the contest. Yegish battled his way to the midway point of this baseball game.
Yeah, you like the fight. Again, we talk about his success last week. Maybe not the same stuff tonight. Stanford with really good bats at the plate, but the left-hander really battled, and a good finish there with the strikeout against Sasaki.
Just the way you want to end the outing, and they call on Preston Crowell, who will be the first out of the pen in this weekend series against Stanford.
Yeah, and as Virginia Tech does, they call on Crowell often. The right-hander coming in behind the left-handed throwing Yegish. Really good numbers, 18 innings of work, 25 strikeouts, hard-throwing right-hander. And as Coach Sheff mentioned, yeah, it's difficult for our hitters to step in and see something different. Going from left-handed Marsh, the starter for Stanford, to Dugan, who's currently the arm for the Cardinal. Now the Cardinal with the same thing as they take a look at Crowell following Yegish here.
Now you know who follows Suzuki, the guy who drove him home in that first inning. This was the 2-run blast.
Yeah, and
Tokheim really got around to set the tone for the day.
Yes, he did, on a pretty good pitch too. Looked like it was going to get in behind his hands, but Tokheim able to get to it, get extended, and as you mentioned, early statement for the Cardinal, the 2 runs back in the first.
Both bullpens now in effect. Let's see. 6th home run. A little bit earlier in the contest for the 2-hole hitter, as this is hit in the air to right, to be handled by Luderman out there 2 away. And we came into this inning talking about the bullpens and how important it's going to be effective. Here's a look at how Crowell has been effective in pitch location.
He's a flamethrower, lives up in the zone, pitches off the fastball. See his location, and again stays up in the zone. You hope he's missing low and wasting as you get ahead, but again, the strong right-hander leaning on the fastball early and often, and a guy that Virginia Tech turns to quite a bit in relief, as they do here in a 3-3 tie.
The 3rd trip through this dangerous portion of the order. Bates trying to join the first 2 guys in the lineup by sending one out of the yard. He will. How about batters 1, 2, 3 in this game, all with home runs for Stanford? This one reestablishes the lead.
Yeah, it did, and you thought Licurdo was going to have room over there, but give Bates credit. Good contact. Left-handed hitter got extended, pushed it the other way to left center as they climbed over the wall. G&H appliance there as Licurdo watches it fly, and that elevated fastball I just talked about, there it is. Credit Bates, gets his hands to the zone quick enough to turn it around, and again, you thought Licurdo might settle in. Instead, he comes up short at the track, and there you have a 4-3 ball game.
Oppo shot for the Cardinal 3-hole hitter. He could not allow Sasaki to be out in front of him very long, right? When you talk about the overall home run total and team lead, they both came in with 7 apiece. Now they both have 8 on the 2026 season. It is now 4-3 Cardinal. Home runs for Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates in the contest at the top of the order, living up to that power hitting initial portion of the lineup. This is given a good ride, but Moran's fly ball going to be tracked down by Gates at around 395 away from home plate. 4-3 the advantage Stanford has just grabbed, and we'll talk to the head man, Coach Dave Esker, on the other side of this break. Piece on the board, and the loud ones coming from the top third of the order for Stanford. Home runs for each of the first 3 guys in the lineup, and it shakes out to a 4-3 advantage, and now joined by by head coach Dave Esper. Thanks, Coach, for taking time to visit with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
You're top of the order. We were just talking about it, swinging it very well so far in game 1 of the series.
Yeah, we're kind of living and dying by the home run. I think we like to string together some hits and score some runs a different way. But we'll take it. We'll take it. Yeah, Rentaro and Teddy Topine, what an outstanding freshman.
Very good, Coach. On the other side, you're into your bullpen, Virginia Tech as well, able to get Preston Crowell. How do you manage the bullpen here and kind of settle into a game where you've seen a lot of hits and a lot of runs early?
You know, we're going to keep running them in and out. We're going pitching by committee. You know, like I said, it's almost like Game 7 of a regional. All hands on deck. We're just going to keep using them and hopefully confuse the hitters.
Coach, how important these tone setters in the ACC? You've waded into the league a little bit now. We talked about it this week, just how talented this league is. These Fridays become all the more important.
Yeah, they really do. You're facing quality people, and you know, everybody in this league can hit. So, you know, quality pitchers get hit, and you just got to be resilient and kind of keep coming back and punching back. We're going to keep trading punches here. It's not going to end 4-3. I probably can guarantee you that.
Coach, last one. We'll let you get back to it. I have to ask about the travel, the ACC and the realignment, and obviously a long way for you guys to go. How has that changed things for you and your club throughout the year?
Well, you know, we leave a day early, and it affects them a little bit, right? I mean, it's just, how can it? You know, you're going to go across country 5 times a year. But we got to do the best we can, and, you know, it's adapt or die. You know, we either figure it out or people are going to walk all over us, and we can't let that happen.
Sure. Very good.
And, hey, by the way, Coach, let's start a little earlier today. Why not, right?
Right.
But your team has handled it well. Thanks so much for your time. We wish you all the best.
All right. Thanks, guys.
And he takes it all in stride. You can tell that, Andrew. And in talking with Coach this week, and, you know, having covered him in Omaha over the years, when he's led this team to the pinnacle of college baseball, you can see that he's a guy who's not going to make any excuses, but who is going to make sure his team answers the bell. They've certainly done that in Blacksburg today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you keep mentioning the early start. That does play a factor. Again, you're 10 a.m. at home for them, right, for this first pitch here today. And so what was a 6 o'clock here in Blacksburg, that gets bumped up, and different for both clubs and coming out early, but a team that's come across the country, and as you mentioned, as he mentioned, they take the extra day on a tough one there left side. Luderman able to reach for the Hokies. That is a different mindset. More travel, more time away from school. It's one thing we haven't touched on at all. These guys are students first. They're athletes second. As we take a look at that shift, you do see 3 left side. Looked like they were well played, but you kind of heard it off the bat. Maybe some extra spin and bobbled just enough for Luderman to reach safely. But all the respect in the world for a club like Stanford and what they have to do to make their schedule fit, make it work, adjust midweek games in order to get on the road early, to make it to the ACC set away from home.
In play right side, second baseman going to go to first to secure the sure out, and it'll put a runner in scoring position. That tying run out there for the taking now with 1 away. Yeah, you mentioned the schedule adjustments that have to happen. Andrew, they're playing a lot of 4-game series. As you said, moving up a day onto midweek, doing whatever it takes to make sure you can fit the travel in. Now, when it goes the way it did this past weekend for Stanford, you love it, right? They won all 4 across the course of the weekend to try and build some momentum. But the toll it's going to take on the body across the course of the season, and just the challenges that you go through and having a different travel scenario, you have to be very impressed with the way this team is handling it.
Well, yeah, and as you look ahead, you see a club that's here in Blacksburg this weekend. They return home to play Clemson this time next week, and then they come right back to Kentucky to take on Louisville. Just would love to know the miles on that monthly excursion for them to get those 9 ACC games in.
Handled by Sasaki, 3 unassisted. That will move the runner around to third. Well, you know, some of those outstanding individuals on our crew are working through that right now. When you talk in terms of just what they're having to do from a mileage standpoint, the number only gives you one piece of it. The toll in so many different areas, as you've documented, really deserves and draws a tip of the cap from you, because they're going to do it across the course of the season, then be expected to be as fresh as everyone else when it comes time for the postseason run if they're there. And, you know, he said it. You either adjust and adapt and you figure it out, or you're just going to get rolled over. And you credit Stanford that they are doing the first and not the latter. They're adjusting, adapting, and figuring it out, and they find themselves out front on the road here in the middle frames.
No, that's exactly right, and I appreciated that feedback as you and I talked about off air. No excuses. They know what they set out to do, and they find a way to do it. And if they don't, they're going to get rolled over, and they're not here. 7 hits for 4 runs with an early lead in this ball game, and they know that they have to come out and compete. There's really no opportunity for excuses, put their best product forward, and they've done that so far here in game 1. And very much agree with Coach as he suggested we should not expect a 4-3 finish in this game 1.
He doesn't have to be a prophet to figure that piece out, right? He is certainly on target with what most expect this weekend. 2-out opportunity for Virginia Tech. Hokies 4 of 8 with 2 outs in the contest thus far. And that tying run 90 feet away for Gibson. Gibson will lay off this pitch. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning, popped out to the 3rd baseman in the 3rd. He's looking to equalize again. Hokies have not led in this game, though they've tied it up a couple of times. And a strike called puts Deuces Wild on the scoreboard.
Well, we've talked about the shift some here today. A big shift again as Jean is over the 2nd base bag, 4-hole wide open. Hokies have done a good job of staying with the pitch and pushing that way so far. See Dugan executing on the inner half, trying to take advantage of the 3 heavy to the left side, getting Gibson to commit just in enough for a ball and a full count here with 2 outs and that tying run looming down at 3rd base.
Dugan, the 2nd pitcher of the day behind Quentin Marsh in this one. And the Cavalry's ready. There is help if needed as dual action is taking place in the Stanford bullpen as we speak. Shaw and O'Haron both getting ready if called upon.
Shaw, O'Haron, and about 12 of their closest friends.
You
As
got
Coach said, we're going to run them out here today and find a way to stay in this ball game.
What did he tell us this week? We got about 17 guys. You're utilizing them all in any way possible. Gibson utilizing this AB, and he drives that into the netting over the left field wall. Hokies lead for the first time today with more 2-out racket in this series opener.
Now 101 off the bat. Ethan Gibson getting the call at 3rd base here in game 1 against the Cardinal. We've seen the long ball from the opposing team, but Gibson stepping up as the hammer is out in Blacksburg. And you can see here just a pitch at the belt that he can drive and turn to the left side. Deposits it into the bullpen just in front of the pitching lab. And as you mentioned, first lead for Virginia Tech, 5-4.
First home run for Ethan Gibson. In fact, he's now made sure that each of the top, our first 8 guys, I should say, in the lineup have driven one out of the yard across the course of the season. He was one of just a couple of guys in the lineup today looking for his first. And up over the century mark in terms of impact, 101 as he got a hold of them. And this is hit well. Right center field gap. That is going to hop over the fence for a ground rule double. And Cook, you called for it earlier in the contest, coming to life a little bit here.
Well, 2nd hit of the day for the catcher. And again, a guy that as he goes, the Hokies go. And he has struggled early at the plate. They have stayed with him. He drives that one. C3 to the left side again. A long way to go for both outfielders. It gets just between Smithfield and Subway over the wall. And Hokies with another runner in scoring position now after they were able to just take their first lead in this ball game. Now a hit away from a 2-run advantage.
Second multi-run inning in this game. They scored 2 in the 2nd and now 2 in here in the bottom of the 5th. And we showed you plenty of action taking place in that Stanford bullpen a moment ago as the Cardinal gather up. Here's another look at it in real time as the entire infield gathers ahead of the at-bat of the freshman Hurt.
Now, Coach said committee, and he wasn't joking. That's a lot of guys down there in the bullpen, but I appreciate the approach. Again, if you know you're committed to it and you know it's what you're doing, there's no surprise. If you're the Cardinal and Coach Esker, you know that's your route and your path forward. We talk so much about the 27-inning game being a 3-game set here over the course of the weekend, and the game within the game is trying to get to the bullpen. Cardinal knew they were going to the bullpen early, so not surprised, trying to work through Dugan here, see if they can get him out of the jam. And as he mentioned, it wasn't going to end 4-3. Something tells me we're also not going to end 5-4 here in Blacksburg on Friday.
For some reason, you're of the belief there are going to be more runs. You act like there have been runs in almost every inning in this game. Started with a 2-run homer in the top of the first, and there have only been a combined 3 zeros. Check that. A combined 4 zeros, 2 apiece, posted at one time or another as we play on beyond the midway point here. So runs have come early and often. You would expect that would be the case the rest of the way. And after they gathered up, bought a little time a bit ago, ahead of that last AB, everybody coming together for the Cardinal again, and this time the signal has been made. So we will see the third Stanford pitcher of the series opener now that the Hokies have pushed out front 5-4 here in the bottom of the 5th. Out of California, Donor Heron comes on again, third pitcher to see them out in this opener for Stanford.
Oh, Heron coming in, trying to close the door on the bottom half of the 5th. Hokies with some production, mostly off the bat of Gibson, as he's able to lift one into left field. You see the numbers for the right-hander, 11th appearance here. And again, we've touched on the bullpen, the trends, and the expectation. We're going to see a lot of arms here, as Coach Esker is going to find any way he has to remain in this ball game. And right now, it's on the shoulders of O'Haron with 2 outs recorded.
Getting set to face the 9 spot. And the Hokies order 2 outs. It's been a solid scenario for Virginia Tech as a unit, 6 of 10 2-out situations in this game. You got to remember, it was 2-out noise in that 2-run second. More of the same here in the bottom of inning number 5. Hurt in his opening AB drew a walk and scored one of those 2-out runs in the second inning. Now in the opposite spot, trying to drive one in. He grounded out to the third baseman in the 4th, so he is officially 0 for 1. Finds himself in an 0-2 hole. O'Haron coming in, trying to keep this from getting back to the top of the order for the Hokies. Just past the midway point of our series opener. And a good look after entering for Torin O'Haron. He'll work them back to the dugout, but 2 runs come home for the Hokies off Ethan Gibson's bat.
Yeah, you see third baseman able to lift one there. Bullpen's excited. First lead for the Hokies, and they will take the 5-4 lead to the top of the 6th.
The Stanford Cardinal and the Virginia Tech Hokies here in the New River Valley, one of the premier programs in the history of the sport. Familiar with Virginia Tech, though. These two teams met in the ACC tournament a season ago. 12th seeded Hokies took care of business against the 13th seeded Cardinal. 7-4 was the final in that opening round contest a year ago. First that Stanford was a part of the Atlantic Coast Conference. They come to bat trailing at 5-4 in this one as we move on into the 6th inning. Going to be Nadai, John, and Lavin, the scheduled hitters, 5, 6, and 7. Very limited history between these two teams when you talk about it. A lot of history for both of them, but they're going to become more and more familiar with one another as ACC rivals now moving forward.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As you mentioned, Stanford here for a first time, but it'll be their last, and Virginia Tech can have an opportunity here in the near future to make the trek cross country and battle the Cardinal on their home turf. We've had a good one here so far. 9 hits, Virginia Tech, 7 for Stanford in a 1-run ball game.
You talk about Stanford as one of the premier programs, 19 College World Series appearances, 21 conference championships, pack days of course, 58 All-Americans, and 35 first-round draft picks in Major League Baseball. Those are the kind of gaudy numbers you get when you're talking about one of the premier programs in the history of the sport.
Well, yeah, and I know you take a look at this season as well. You mentioned earlier 11-12 on the year, 1-5 in the ACC. That sole win coming against Pittsburgh, but Cardinal battled a top 20 team in Wake Forest at the time for the sweep. And then if you look back at their schedule in the 23 games played, 8 of those are 1-run games. Of course, they won a few of those and dropped a couple as well, but a team that plays a close game, they've been there, they're familiar, and it's going to potentially pay dividends for them this weekend as we see a 1-run game here and a lot of back and forth now as Virginia Tech's able to finally get the lead. Expect the Cardinal to be in this one to the finish.
Right there alongside that Demon Deacons squad in those games, just couldn't get one of them to go their way after making that initial trip that you referenced all the way across the country to Winston-Salem. It's a team they became familiar with before they entered the ACC. Neutral trips to Omaha in recent years. It was a swing and a miss. Nani taken care of as the DH is down on strikes.
Take a look at that strikeout, and again, Grau fastball up in the zone. Can expect that a lot from number 20 for the home team, and well executed at 94 miles an hour. But talk about the 1-run games. Look back at the Cal State Fullerton series for Stanford early in the season, back in late February, and after a 4-2 loss, they win 4-3, they lose 4-3, and they win 3-2. So a battle-tested squad that's going to hang around and be in most games. Virginia Tech fully aware of that, so both teams here, as they continue to put up runs, recognize that 1 run's not going to be enough here to get it done.
Yeah, you flip a few of those, you're talking about a different season already for the Cardinal. Ball and a strike. 95 on that last speed check. As Gian awaits this 1-1. Bend out of the way just a little bit. Hokies now having out-hit the Cardinals 9-7, even if they lead the Cardinal only by a single run at 5-4. Of course, you talk about the addition of Stanford to the ACC, and it transcends just the baseball, a sport where they've had tremendous success over the years. This is one of the great brands in college athletics that now serves only to strengthen the ACC's prowess in all sports. As a walk is drawn by Gian, who heads down to first. Grabbing Cal, grabbing Stanford, adding in the Metroplex in Texas by bringing SMU into the fold, all that in recent years. Not only are you increasing the footprint of the ACC, and it may be a little different, Atlantic Coast Conference, you got Pacific Coast teams, but you certainly are increasing the ACC's brand by adding these trademark brands from across the country.
Absolutely. We talked earlier about the portal and what that means for recruitment. Someone gets away from Cook, and Young was already on the move there, 90 and looking for more, so into scoring position with less than 2 outs as Grau sails one here to the backstop. But yeah, I think to your point, just across the board, we talked about travel, but it's also a huge benefit for the ACC and how they've been able to grow, not just on the baseball diamond, but think about football and basketball and so on, been able to keep up with that and follow it. And as you compete with the SECs and others, it's important for ACC to continue to hold their mark and have value. We know on the baseball front, the ACC and the conference is so strong. SEC, ACC kind of always battling that out. But again, across the board in collegiate athletics, I think it was a good move, other than when you asked Stanford how their trip was here to Blacksburg for a 3-game set and then home for Clemson and back for Louisville.
Handling it in stride, though. Impressive group, what they've done and what so many are doing across multiple sports to make that a reality. But good for a much stronger ACC moving forward. Cut there. Lavin with a runner there for the taking at second base, only one down in the inning. Yeah, this is a sport, college baseball, that we've watched over the last decade, couple of decades, depending on how you look at it, become a national sport where you don't have a handful of programs in each conference that are making the commitment to the sport any longer. What you have is an arms race top to bottom in each of these conferences because the sport has become completely national, and this is a reminder of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think these are two clubs that have felt that over the years. You talk about Stanford and how good they've been, and historically what they've been able to accomplish. Virginia Tech under Coach Sheff and what they've tried to build, kind of a different approach. We've talked about facilities. We've talked about portal. As we take a look at this strikeout from Crowell, he gets back in the zone, executes well, see good movement on that pitch, inner half, swinging through for strike number 3, but all of it comes together in portal and facilities and recruitment and stabilization and retention of players and building a culture that you can put a group together that they want to be there. And here today we talk about two clubs that are so young. So hats off to both of these skippers and what they've been able to accomplish on that front.
Makes this weekend all the more important as they try to climb in the standings. In a weekend out in front of you for the taking. There's a run there for the taking for Stanford. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't come home in the top of this 6th inning. He's one step closer, way ahead. 0-2 on Tatum Marsh.
It's almost like you got a little more focus out of the right-hander after that ball skips away from Cook at the plate. He's really dialed in and delivered some quality pitches here, way ahead 0-2 on Marsh.
You know, of course, walking. He was already on the move, so credited with a swipe of the bag at second, as he was moving well before that one went to the backstop. But ready to leave him there now. After the punch out of Lavin, and Marsh way behind. No balls, 2 strikes. Somehow able to hold up. 94 that was up and just off the plate away.
And that's Crowell's go-to there, way ahead 0-2. Elevated fastball, as you mentioned, tough to lay off if you're Marsh.
Won't be able to lay off this. Crowell does get the punch out to drop the curtain on the inning, leaving a runner stranded at second base. How about this inning for the reliever?
Crowell executing well. You see all 3 here. Elevated fastball, ball in on the hand, swinging through from the left-handed side, and then executing the off-speed there to deliver. 5-4 ball game for the Hokies.
You've worked hard for your money. U.S. Bank Smartly accounts put it to work for you. It's simple. U.S. Bank Smartly accounts work together, earning you exclusive rates and tailored rewards. U.S. Bank Smartly checking earns smart rewards on day one, $1. U.S. Bank Smartly Savings grows your money to help achieve your financial goals and amplify your earnings with unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase with the U.S. Bank Smartly Visa Signature Card. The more Smartly accounts you have, the more you can earn. U.S. Bank Smartly. Earn, save, grow.
Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event. Honda vehicles are built for exploring, with available features like all-terrain tires, off-road tuned suspension, and Trail Watch. All from the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Value brand. Right now, you can get a $269 per month lease on a 2026 CR-V all-wheel drive LX.
In Blacksburg, one team coming in with a single win in the conference. A few more games played for the Hokies. They're looking to pull even at 500 in conference action with a win here today and lead at 5-4 as we work on into the bottom of the 6th inning. First pitch bounced right side, going to be handled for the 4-3 put out to take care of the leadoff man group. Well, your impressions of what we've seen in this opener so far?
There's a lot going on. 16 total hits, 9 total runs. Hokies taking their first lead in the last half, so a lot to digest. We've seen 5 arms. O'Haron here to the 3rd for the Cardinal. Hokies into the pen on the other side with Crowell coming on to follow Yegish. So as we expected, a lot thrown at us early in this one. Clean baseball as well, just one error to show for the Cardinal. And this guy here has been a big part of the action, Daniel, as Stanford looks to retire him for the first time here today.
Perfectly placed defensive alignment. Takes care of this from deepest part on the infield. It's going to go in the scorebook is the same. Two very different plays required of the Stanford second baseman, and there are two gone.
Yeah, and that's scouting at its finest. Daniel, a guy who tied the game back in the bottom of the second with the ball up the middle. Saw him turn it around up the middle in his last at bat as well. So what do? They reposition right at Gion up the middle, and a throw across the right side of the infield for a 4-3 put out, and two quick ones here for the right-hander O'Haron on the mound.
Wait a minute, a 0 in the top of this inning with just the one runner worked around. And now two quick outs in the bottom. This is looking like what we saw in inning number 4. That's the only inning in the game so far where both teams held one another off the scoreboard. But hold everything if you're expecting that it's a foregone conclusion, because it's been with two outs that Virginia Tech has done the majority of its damage today.
Yeah, and if you're Coach Sheff, you got to appreciate that. Timely, finding a way to get it done, continuing to compete. You saw Coach Elbin out of the dugout there to chat with Ethan Ball here in what would be a very quick inning. So maybe just a chance to break it up and give Preston Crowell a deep breath over there in the dugout.
O'Haron, who came in and put the finishing touches on things. The fifth has not yet reached double-digit pitches. It's going to take one more for him to get there out of the pen. You said it. Probably as much about breaking his rhythm as anything else with two down here. Looking to work aboard for the first time today. And they're going to say he went around. Appeal to the third base umpire, and that was a quick inning of work for Torin O'Haron. Holding things at 5-4 in the contest as we move forward.
You see it there, just enough to swing. Good job by O'Haron. Keep it a one-run ball game.
The long ball from the top of the order.
Yeah, and you see there on the first one, pretty good pitch, inner half. That one there, Sasaki able to get extended, lifts that one into the bullpen. And then here, elevated fastball. Crowell loves to live up there, but a great job by Charlie Bates to get to it for the shot. Gibson gets one of their own on the other side for Virginia Tech, which is a huge help in the 5-4 lead for the Hokies. But nonetheless, Cardinal, 3 long balls here early in this series.
We show you that because that group is coming. Here's the 9-hole hitter. Behind Hott, it will be the combo of Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates, who are the 3 having left the yard in this contest.
And that's why this first out is so important. If you're Virginia Tech and Crowell, you take a look there at the hit by location and where the Cardinal have been able to do damage here in this one.
Next home run going to be the 50th of the season for Coach Dave Esker's squad. 47, 48, 49. The reason there are 4 on the board runs-wise in this game. The guy who had the home run over the right field wall, the solo shot back in inning number 3, comes to the plate here with 1 down.
Yeah, and again, that first out so important. Solo shot here ties it. 2-run shot gives the lead back to the Cardinal. You have to respect the top of this order. We touched on how good they've been 1 through 4. Sasaki hoping to continue that here. Different look now as Crowell delivers a fastball outer half for strike 1. You saw the nod there from Sasaki acknowledging the pitch. So you got fastball against really good bat here. See if Crowell continues to get elevated.
Struck out his last time up, and he's in an 0-2 hole here after swinging right through that 0-1 offering.
Expect Crowell to climb a little bit more up in the zone at the letters or above. He missed it down there. Tried to ramp up the speed a little bit. C96.
Still in command of this AB. Sasaki, whose homer earlier in the contest, served his 8th of the year, and he will spoil this down that left field side and out of play. What a difference it has made, elevating him to the leadoff spot in the order. There's that home run in the 3rd, leading off the inning outright. First pitch of the inning, no less. This is a nice piece of hitting to go the other way, but he just lands it foul.
Yeah, 96 off the bat the other way there. So we see the moonshot down the right field line for a home run. There does the best he can with that pitch from Crowell going the other way. And as you mentioned, a lot of real estate that way. That's a stand-up double if it sneaks inside the line. Instead, just a long, hard strike there for the Virginia Tech side as Crowell still in charge here, 1-2.
He's got 6 of those in his account on the year as well. Talking about extra base hits alongside the 8 home runs. And he is fighting off pitch after pitch from Crowell right now. A walk, a solo home run, and then a strikeout. The 3 trips to the plate. 2 official for Sasaki today. And he's going to keep his teammates awake in that first base dugout this time. Bounces one that direction.
Crowell can execute the off speed here. Righty lefty, get it in behind the hands of Sasaki. I think he has an opportunity. He's seen plenty of fastballs. We've seen a good job of fighting them off.
Lofts that right over a well-placed shift and dumps it ahead of the right fielder for a base knock. 2nd hit of the game for Sasaki.
Yeah, there was the off speed. Just got too much of the plate with 2 strikes. Sasaki's such a good hitter. Obviously seeing the ball well, pushing some foul. And he turns this one around in a hurry to the right side. You see ball playing deep there, almost the shallow right, still elevated over his head.
Revelations of what a pure hitter he can be in that bat. Obviously the home run grabs your attention from earlier, but how close he was to an extra base hit down the left field side, and then somehow finding open real estate between the 2 fielders out in right. A window in to the leadoff man's ability for Stanford.
You mentioned leadoff man, and as we touched on, seems like the right move for him and for his club to be in that position. He's really done a good job at the top of the lineup.
And shouldn't surprise you that Coach Dave Esker made that move. Shouldn't surprise you when you see this type of offensive production. It has been his trademark. He runs this offense. It's been his trademark of this offense on those Omaha runs prior. And it goes back to his own playing days. Remember, he's coaching at his alma mater. He was a part of that Stanford College World Series championship team in 1987. That's the reason it was quite a homecoming. A little under a decade ago when he came home to be the head man for the Cardinal. Dave Esker playing at Stanford from 84 to 87 and was an all-tournament team member when he hit 350 with 6 RBIs of his own in Omaha. So a guy who was an all Pac-10 Southern Division honoree as a senior, put together some of his best playing performances in the place you want to do it most, Omaha, Nebraska, at the College World Series. And he has since led his alma mater back there as the head man. I don't know if you caught that at the very bottom of your screen, but in the front row, he caught that. Great play by one of the Hokies fans here enjoying it today. But it should surprise you not a bit to put a fine point on that piece of conversation, the way this team hits and how well they perform offensively, because they're under the tutelage of a guy who certainly did that as a player for this Cardinal squad.
Well, and I come back, it's all related. You got a guy who's done it, who's been there, who's been successful, and as a 17, 18, 19-year-old student athlete, that's who you want to play for. Someone who's been there, knows how to get there, understands the big moments. As that's a really good at-bat there from Tokheim, able to earn the walk here from Crowell after Sasaki singles to right field.
And you talk about big moments, Andrew. Sometimes what you just witnessed is the big moment. Not always the big fly. Remember, it was Sasaki's walk drawn before Tokheim drove it out of the yard for a 2-0 lead early, and he here puts together one of the pivotal at-bats of this baseball game when you consider the way things are brewing here in the top of the 7th inning.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that, Virginia Tech's feeling the same as they're going to take a visit here, bring the infield in. We'll see if it's a move or just an opportunity to settle down Crowell. He's 47 pitches on the day, obviously has a lot left in the tank. The right-hander does from Franklin County. See if this is a move or an opportunity to settle him in.
Well, when these two tangled previously, here's how it ended.
Yep, elevated fastball, as we see often from the right-hander, and Bates knew it, got extended, pushed it opposite field for the home run, and the 4th run in this ball game for Stanford. So maybe part of the mound visit here just to regroup, and Virginia Tech going to stay with the right-hander here as the first out of the pen, but Stanford in business, 2 aboard, less than 2 outs, and a good bat here at the plate in the 3-hole in Charlie Bates.
That, of course, was the 8th home run of the season for Bates, which evened him once more with Sasaki, who is currently standing out at second base. Both of them hitting their 8th home runs of the season in this contest. This would be the first moment for Stanford with a runner in scoring position in which they would have gathered up some success. Virginia Tech a little better in that department so far in game 1. That is a fair ball and is handled beautifully by Grube over there. Crowell covers. 2 down, though the runners both move around into scoring position now.
Yeah, in a 5-4 game, too, you just saw that runner in scoring position. Surprising to see a collective 2 for 12 and still that many runs across the plate. We know Cardinal getting it done with the long ball here so far, and Virginia Tech finding a way to scrap a 2-run shot of their own off the bat of Ethan Gibson. And
with first base empty, they're going to give the intentional free pass to Moran, which means it will be up to Jimmy Nadai, the senior, if Stanford's to do something with this top half of the 7th frame.
Nadai, the 2 strikeouts here today, part of that strategic move to occupy first and provide the force at any play. They did hit one hard to Pete Daniel there at shortstop back in the 3rd.
Well, this is the portion of the order trying to make its contribution. Just the 1 hit and a couple of base runners from this group and 8 Ks from the Virginia Tech staff in this part of the order. Talk about a contribution. Cook just gave you one right there.
Yeah, run-saving contribution. Another one that gets away from Crowell, and Henry Cook's got to get extended on a hop here to hang on to that one. A 1-0 count nonetheless.
Fouled straight back. Evens the count 1-1. Hokies trying to get to stretch time with the lead. They hold the slimmest of margins at 5-4. The base is full for the Cardinal. Nadai, who was twice struck out and once lined out today. We'll look at ball 2. Jimmy Nadai is the senior in the middle of this order, one of a couple of seniors in the lineup in total. Straightaway center. Gates waits on it, and the inning comes to a close. So Stanford loads them up in the top half of the 7th inning. But the Hokies post a 0 in the end and keep that lead steady at 5-4 as they stand to stretch in Blacksburg. The kind of contest you would expect on a Friday night. Well, at least on a Friday. It turned into Friday afternoon with the weather that is expected tonight. But another one-run game. That's a familiar refrain for Stanford so far on the year, Andrew. This one has been a good one.
Well, yeah, and you see the production at the top of the lineup for the Stanford Cardinal. The 3 home runs, 1, 2, 3 in the order, so living by the long ball. Unfortunately, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, and what better opportunity than the last half as they were able to load the bases and a hit away from an opportunity to regain the lead. But give Preston Crowell and the Hokies credit. First arm out of the pen, the right-hander on the Virginia Tech side, able to close the door on a fly ball to center field, keep it 5-4, and working into the latter innings here in a good game 1.
Yeah, keep that in mind. A couple of those numbers that we're tracking. 1 for 10 with runners on base, 0 for 5, as you referenced, with runners in scoring position. Those are the 2 numbers that will be hard for Stanford to live with if it stays like this the rest of the way. But a whole lot of baseball left to determine this one. Hokies have not enjoyed a lead any greater than the single run here. Twice tied it up at 2-2 and then 3-3 before falling behind 4-3 and forging ahead on Gibson's swing. And put us where we stand right now at 5-4. So a little breathing room. What they would like to put together in that third base dugout, something the Hokies have not yet enjoyed today.
And you mentioned that 1-run lead. Torn O'Haron, the right-hander for Stanford, has been really good out of the pen. Third arm for them, but I really like what I see here. Just good demeanor, good command, a lot of confidence. Mound presence is solid. You see he's quick to work to the plate with the short step. Quality break and pitch there, hoping to get a swing from Luderman. Evens up 2-2.
Now working in a portion of 3 different innings and still only having thrown 15 pitches to this point. Remember, came on, got the final out, 1 frame, worked through that last one, and now has worked his way into what is, again, a portion of a 3rd inning of work. And he has not allowed Virginia Tech to run his pitch count up in any way.
Yeah, to your point, you go back to that 5th inning, he comes in, gets the strikeout against Willie Hurt in the 9th spot. Clean inning last half. 4-3, 4-3 and a strikeout, and then 6-3 left side there. So a right-hander who has really settled in as we take another look at a routine play across the diamond for out number 1.
Of course, the big RBI double in the 3rd inning. Highlight of the day for Hokies junior outfielder. Lined up against the Wilson sign down that right field side. There's that RBI double sandwiched in between. Fielder's choice in the 1st and a ground ball to the 2nd baseman in the 5th. They liked it in the first base dugout, just off the plate. Not quite there for our home plate umpire, Gregory Street. Introduced it to you earlier today, but it's Gregory Street, Matthew Bates, Brandon Cooper, and John Asteris in this weekend series between Stanford and Virginia Tech. Street behind the plate today. Bates at 1st, Cooper at 2nd, and Asteris at 3rd, our umpiring crew in this one. 2-2, make it 3-2. Payoff pitch down to 3rd. Little hop, skip, and a jump before he takes it across to first base, but nicely done on the 5-3 put out, 2 down.
Yeah, there was a little extra there from Moran, but he knew the timing well, as it turns out, across the diamond for the 5-3. So 6-3, 5-3 here in this inning. And again, I got to stay with O'Haron for a minute. He's been really good.
Take a look at the smile there from the hot corner as well when you talk about the little extra that was there. You got to love it when you see these kids enjoying the game. That's still what it's all about. There's so many peripheral things that we can talk about in baseball and certainly in college baseball, but there's nothing like looking down there and seeing these student athletes enjoy themselves. That really is still the heart of what this is about.
Yeah, it sure is. I could imagine he probably got a comment from a teammate on that approach there across the diamond, and had nothing he could do there but laugh it off.
Something about rhythm, right? And whatever you have to do to set the feet, get things going, to work your way into that rhythm. You make a great point about what the guy at top the bump's doing right now, though, Andrew, because it has set a different tone for this game right now.
Yeah, that's 6 in a row now. Good stuff from the right-hander, firm fastball. We heard from Coach during his interview that they were going to go to the bullpen early and often. I think this is probably a nice surprise as he does clip Sam Gates here to allow his first base runner. But Torrin O'Haron's been so good. He's minimized the bullpen for the visiting team and how important in a 3-game set as you try to keep active arms available for the remainder of the weekend. He's had really good stuff, again, yielding his first 90 feet there on the hit-by-pitch for Sam Gates.
Well, the flip side of that was the positive comment that was made about when things are going well atop the mound when we talked to these staffs this week. And the idea was, yeah, if somebody's stringing a few together, we're going to ride them as long as it lasts.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're seeing right here. It's kind of par for the course this time of year in this sport, particularly in these critical conference series. Gibson had his moment in this ball game. In fact, his moment, the difference maker in the game right now. And the home run in the 5th that we're referencing, of course, came after he struck out looking in the 2nd and popped out to 3rd in the 3rd. But somebody just needs to tell the Hokies, with the way things have gone in this scenario today, they're 2 down, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is when they've been most productive, which if you're Coach Sheff, you'd like to be early and often, but you also take advantage of an opportunity to be effective with the 2 outs, as you mentioned.
Runner moving. Here's the throw down to second base, and it's going to skip away and into center field. Gates already on the ground. He won't even think about doing anything further, but he's in scoring position with 2 away. As we said, how good have the Hokies been with 2 away? 6 of 12 as a team, as you see the runner move up to striking distance.
Yeah, see a good job there. He gets a jump and a look in, and then there head first into second. Coach Hansen, third base coach, a little frustrated, hoping that Gates is going to pick him up and can move him to 3rd on that. But nonetheless, a hit away now from that 6th run for Virginia Tech.
And to put that 2-out conversation in perspective a little more, 6 out of the 9 hits today for Virginia Tech of the 2-out variety. If they come up with number 7 right here, it would likely mean the Hokies' largest lead of the day. Center field backs up on it a little bit, and a few steps back, all that are required to secure the out. How about 2 consecutive scoreless innings for these bullpens as it remains 5-4 into the 8th. New pitcher for Virginia Tech, 3rd of the day here in the opener, as the Hokies now turn to Logan Eisenrich.
Yeah, Eisenrich, the right-hander for the Hokies, another reliable arm. Fastball runs up there mid to upper 90s, so we'll keep an eye on velocity here today as Stanford comes to the plate here in the top of the 8th. 6 outs remaining in this ball game. 1-run lead for Virginia Tech. We'll see if the bullpen settle in and shut it down here, or if we see some more offensive activity.
Well, a reminder of why we started a little earlier today is the first raindrops begin to fall here in Blacksburg in recent moments. This originally was scheduled to be a 6 p.m. series opener. We threw the first pitch at just past 1 o'clock today because of this weather that is on the way. First signs of it beginning to appear here as we begin the top half of the 8th inning. I'm told there's still a window, certainly, to get this one in, with rain coming a little more steady in the next hour or so. John is retired. Ground out on the infield ahead of Lavin and Marsh, the scheduled hitters here in the 8th inning. Well, you talked about the importance of the bullpens before we ever worked our way into this one today. Both teams have to be pretty pleased, I would think, Andrew, with what they've received across the last couple of innings plus, at least.
Yeah, we touched on Aaron, how good he's been. Obviously great for the Cardinal. They expected to go to the pen early, so no surprises there. Brendan Yagish, if you go back to the starter for Virginia Tech, maybe not the outing he had against Duke a week ago, but he really battled and fought through the middle part before he turned it over to Preston Crowell. So I think if you're Coach John Sheff and Coach Esker here for the Cardinal, you are happy with where you are from a pitching perspective as the Hokies lean on their third arm here, get a 6-3 put out to start this one. And Eisenrich looking to possibly go the distance here. I think clean inning, you would see him return for a 9th.
Brady Reynolds going to occupy the left-hand batter's box. He comes off that Stanford bench. Bakersfield product. So you get a look at the juniors' numbers thus far on the season. First to be utilized beyond that starting group. They look for a spark plug with 1 out in the 8th. Make it 2 down. Housekeeping taken care of nicely by Henry Cook, who throws down to complete the strikeout.
A quality pitch, right-hander down. You can see spinning one into the turf and gets Reynolds swinging in the pinch hit spot. Cook can only block it. Steps out, clears the path. Good throwing lane there for the 2-3 put out. And as you mentioned, a strikeout here for 2 quick ones for Logan Eisenrich.
It appears as if he's going to see a second consecutive pinch hitter. Court McDonald, the Lone Star State product, going to work his way into the lineup.
So not just the bullpen. Coach Esker willing to use them all here. Back-to-back pinch hit opportunities in the 8th, taking advantage of the righty on the hill. Bringing a lefty to the plate here in place of Tatum Marsh, who started in the 8th spot and in right field for Stanford.
Well, you're right. Talking about those 17 arms, here is a glance at just how deep the bench goes for the Cardinal. Here's a guy who went to Pantego Christian Academy, Pantego, Texas, was a 5-sport athlete. He played baseball, football, basketball, ran track, and was also a golfer in his prep days. You talk about making the best use of your high school career. Court McDonald, the definition of it. He's behind 0-2 here, making a ball in 2 strikes. Came on campus and as a freshman was a part of that Pac-12 championship squad. He appeared in 10 games. And if you're going to do it the way he did it. Your first collegiate hit against Cal on the 7th day of April as he introduced himself to the Stanford faithful. Up in a prime spot here in ACC competition now. And he will put this in the air, left field, and that's going to sink and fall for a base hit. He's going to head for second and slide in there safely. The tying run in scoring position as the pinch hitter, Court McDonald, number 22, getting the job done here with 2 away. Stanford trying to rip a page out of Virginia Tech's playbook now with a little 2-out noise.
Well, yeah, and turn the page on the statistical category of runners in scoring position. You see this one here. It's the beauty of a 1-run ball game. Pushes one left side, doesn't hit it too hard. Licurdo playing deep. First steps back in the outfield, drops in front of him. Good job there by McDonald to execute and get the extra 90 into scoring position. So again, trying to break that 0-for streak here of runners in scoring position and a chance to tie the game.
Have to love how he was moving out of the box. Never let up, never tapped the brakes, didn't assume anything. He learned how baseball's supposed to be played. They know a little bit about it in Arlington, Texas, from whence Court McDonald found his way to the West Coast. He's out there for the taking. The 9-hole hitter, Hot, who is hitting for himself after striking out, lining out, and grounding out. It's been equal opportunity today. Of course, Sasaki, the leadoff man, is on deck here with 2 away. That's right back to the pitcher. A little bit on that one, and everybody's going to be safe. Sasaki will hit on one roll right back over the top of the mound. And I know this is English, right? This one had some English on it. And here is what Sasaki did the last time around the battle.
Yeah, he was seeing it well. He really made Crowell work at the plate. You see that one down the line we talked about, opportunity for 2, just foul, and then stays with it, goes the other direction, lifted over the head of Ethan Ball at second base. And what a dangerous spot here in this ball game. Tremendous opportunity for the Cardinal as Sasaki will come to the plate for the 5th time in this ball game, 2 aboard. That last ball just had some extra English on it through the legs of Logan Eisenrich on the mound, and then middle infield too deep to get to it and make a play at first. So first and third, and there's your guy if you're Stanford, with a really good opportunity to bring the lead back to the visiting team.
And you can see that thing knuckle on him from here as he was trying to line up. It just was not to be. You mentioned 5th trip coming to the plate. For Sasaki, he drew a walk the first time around and homered a solo shot over the right field fence in his second AB. That was in the 3rd inning. We just showed you the battle he put together in the 7th before singling, and his only other plate appearance struck out in the 5th. Guy who has come into his own since being elevated to the leadoff spot is looking at the tying run 90 feet away here. Makes contact with the first pitch, but it's foul.
And 95, this is power on power here. You see Eisenrich reared back a little bit to let that one fly. This is a great matchup, and we knew we were going to get some of this weekend here between the Cardinal and the Hokies. First and third, 2 outs, 1-run ball game. Cardinal down to 4 outs, chance to tie it here with that tying run at third base. Best bat at the plate, Sasaki in the leadoff spot, and Eisenrich mid-90s on the other side.
Modern day college baseball at its finest, and Sasaki lays into this one and sends it up against the wall in left field. That's going to tie the game as Court McDonald, who sparked all of this, comes home to touch the plate, making it 5 apiece, and this was scalded by Sasaki.
Yeah, honestly, if you're Cardinal, you want to hit a little lighter, you get that extra run in. That ball's hit so hard, 103 miles an hour off the bat, gets extended. Opposite field to the gap, no opportunity for either outfielder. Licurdo does a good job of playing it off the wall and keeping that runner at third base. But as you mentioned, tie ball game, second and third. Stanford now working here with 2 outs, giving the Hokies a little taste of their own medicine, and going to be enough for a mound visit here before we see the first pitch from Eisenrich to Tokine.
Hokie staff that had been perfect in save scenarios up to last weekend, seeing on consecutive weekends. That turned the other direction. What is now a 5-5 game. And again, this 8th inning not done yet, as Stanford gives the Hokies a little dose of their own medicine with 2 outs. This time Sasaki, as it rolls over in the lineup to where all the scoring started for Stanford.
Yeah, 2-hole. We talked about 1, 2, 3, how good the top of the lineup has been. Sasaki just reaches on the double, and there you have it. Teddy Tokine coming to the plate. 6th and 7th run out there at second and third base in a critical moment in this ball game, and enough for the mound visit again. But I really like that battle. I know if you're Virginia Tech and Coach John Sheff, you don't want to give up that 1-run lead, but that's Eisenrich's best versus Sasaki's best, and hats off to Sasaki. Wins the battle. 5-5 ball game.
All 5 driven home by this top portion of the lineup for Stanford. If they can make it 6, it would mean a reclaiming of the lead the Cardinal enjoyed early in the game. Led it 2-0, led it 3-2, led it 4-3 before the Hokies took the reins. Back even at 5 apiece now.
Well, you got a base open here as well, as you see Eisenrich miss on the first two, so no damage, bases loaded, force play at any play with 2 recorded. But as we've talked about all afternoon, Tokheim follows Sasaki, Charlie Bates follows Tokheim. It does not get any easier for the right-hander in Virginia Tech.
Had him fooled right there to take it to 2-1.
Yeah, you see him taking the helmet there, and just an opportunity for a deep breath, thinking fastball all the way out in front. Good execution there by Eisenrich on the breaking pitch.
20 combined hits, and the 10 runs are split right down the middle. Just another 8th inning battle on just another Friday in the Atlantic Coast Conference right now. This has been the type of special you would expect between a couple of teams that see this weekend as a chance to really improve their season. In the final analysis, and this is hit well, left field again, and he's done it for a second time today, giving the Cardinal the lead with a multi-home run effort from Teddy Tokheim. This time it's a 3-run shot. And it is Stanford with the breathing room in the latter innings.
4 runs, 2 outs. Like you mentioned, McDonald in the pinch hit spot, getting it all going after a 6-3 put out. And then a strikeout, 2 quick outs in this inning, if you can remember back to the start. But Stanford been really good, and you see the golf swing there, very different from the first home run for Teddy Tokheim, but nonetheless same result as he gets it on top of the pitching lab. 3-run shot, and the biggest swing here in this game, with the Cardinal now ahead 8-5.
Didn't like the fact that the guys that surround him in the lineup, in the 1-hole and the 3-hole, have 8 home runs. Wanted to make sure he joined them. With 2 today, he now has made sure that the top 3 spots in the order all even in chasing that top total on the team. The guy who broke the scoreless tie in the first inning just broke the 5-5 tie here in the 8th.
A 12th hit for the visiting team, 9 for the Hokies, and what matters is that first column there, as you mentioned, for this inning. 8 total in the game. Virginia Tech with 6 outs now remaining on the offensive side will have their work cut out for them as they try to climb back into this one.
And the Stanford squad that just a couple of innings ago experienced no success with runners on, runners in scoring position. Now 3 of 8 in that runners in scoring position department, and has now notched 7 of their own hits with 2 outs, including all the 2-out noise here in the 8th frame. So between the 2 teams, 13 of their combined now up over 20 total hit total have come with 2 outs in a respective inning. This inning will continue a little further as Bates secures a freebie. Now think on that. Stanford 7 of 14 with 2 outs. Virginia Tech, who had grabbed those 2-out headlines early, 6 of 13 with 2 down. 13 combined 2-out knocks in this contest. Just when you think the inning could be over. Runner moving. From his knees, Cook throws down to second base. Bates, having already arrived, is in scoring position.
You talked about 2-out hitting. I like that aggressive base running there as they're able to take the lead 8-5. Why not go for it here? You're a hit away if you're able to get that extra 90, as Bates was able to do. Saw a good throw there from Cook. And now with the runner advancing, gonna fill the base behind him to put first and second and move to Nadai as they work through the lineup here. 1 through 9. Everybody reaching the plate here in this inning, including those couple pinch hitters that we saw following the 6-3 put out of Gian, who started this inning what feels like a very long time ago now. But again, appreciate the aggressive base running with the 3-run lead, knowing that another 2-out hit gives you that insurance run and pushes this to 9-5.
Offensive conference for Stanford right now. spot where the Cardinal would like to open it up a bit here in the 8th inning. You know, the other thing you watch right now, Andrew, is we talked about it beginning to drizzle a little bit here as we work our way deeper into the afternoon toward the evening hours. And you're now looking at Stanford putting you in a situation where the bottom of the 9th will be required. You know, just a few moments ago, Virginia Tech was looking at rolling on out of here by getting 5-6 more outs and calling it a day. That scenario no longer in effect as we push a little deeper here toward the 4 o'clock hour. Of course, in the Eastern time zone, and Stanford coming to life as they work into what has to feel like the afternoon hours for the first time in that first base dugout. And it's blocked by Cook. A 4 spot in the 8th inning for Stanford, the most productive inning in the ball game on either side. As a race to 5-4 deficit turned it into an 8-5 lead for the Cardinals.
We've talked about the top of this lineup. Of course, we're middle of the way through now, but Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates, 7 for 12 on the day, 4 home runs, 6 runs scored, and accounting for all 8 RBIs in this ball game.
Just remarkable. And every one of them having left the yard at one time or another. In the case of Tokheim, more than once. But not in the zone. It's 3-0. Same thing. Good velocity, but off the plate away. They are loaded.
And that'll be enough for a call to the pen. You saw Eisenrich missing a good bit there on those attempts to the plate, and bases loaded, 2 outs, 4 on the board for Stanford, looking to do some more damage here. It'll be a different arm to finish out the top half of the 8th as the Hokies are now chasing 3.
4 runs in on just that many hits. Stanford back out front in the 8th inning. Once again here in the 8th inning, Brody Rowe now being called upon as they go back to a left-hander out of the pen.
Yeah, Rowe, the lefty from Stillwater, a name that we have heard early and often this year, 10th appearance. As you mentioned, having to go to the pen here, bases loaded, trying to find a way out of this jam. We talked about the Hokies and their success with 2 outs here in this game, but Stanford has flipped the script as they've been able to do it here in the top half of the 8th, most meaningful with 4 runs, and again, threatening to put up more. So up to Brody Rowe, out of the pen for the Hokies as the 4th arm. And we will see if he's able to execute or if Stanford is able to extend here as the Hokies on the offensive side hope to get something going. I got a lot in play here as the lead has changed, the weather is approaching, and we're getting late here in game 1 in an 8-5 ball game.
2 in the first, 1 in the third, 1 in the 5th, and now 4 here in the 8th. 8 runs on 12 hits for Stanford, and for the Hokies, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the 5th. They carried a 5-4 advantage into the top half of this 8th inning. It has been erased by the latest of the offensive moments for his squad. Coach Schiff and his staff now gathered up talking about what happens the rest of the way as they'll have to battle back from a 3-run deficit. Andrew, the conversation continues to be about what's happening, as you said just a moment ago, with the weather as well. You can see how dark the skies are. And now you obviously have to play a little deeper into this one with the bottom half of the inning at play in the 9th, and Virginia Tech plenty of work left to do. And Stanford with what right now are the bookend home runs from Teddy Tokheim. So much other you can talk about, certainly as you documented the top of the order and what the top 3 spots in the order have done. But Tokheim with a homer to start the scoring, at least for now. Tokheim with the homer that has served as the latest scoring to put the Cardinal back out front. This is a pivotal moment as they are still loaded with 2 away. Bergeon.
See the reaction there from Rowe. Thought he was going to get a 1-1 count on the fastball delivery, but 2-0 instead. So huge pitch here for the left-hander.
8 total on the board. What has been an effective and what Stanford would like to turn into a decisive 8th frame. And there's a called strike.
And nowhere to put him. 3-0, now 3-1. Good job by Rowe to get in the zone coming out of the pen. First 3 pitches miss. So Gian knows here he should get a hittable pitch here. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and a hitter's count at 3-1.
Another called strike. It runs full.
I think that was the one that Rowe wanted the first time. He didn't get, so Gian's looking, hey, I've seen this one before, and it was a ball, a little bit elevated there. Rowe gets the call, and here we have it, 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded.
And this may be the pitch that determines whether the Hokies are in striking distance for the balance of this one. Fouled back. We'll do it again. Bates at third, Moran at second, Nati over at first. Cardinal with 4 runs already in on just that many hits in the inning. Looking to run that winning streak a little higher. 5 consecutive contests, pick up a key ACC series opening win with the offensive prowess here in the 8th frame. They'll add 1 more on a bases loaded walk, which will allow Bates to come home and touch the plate. It is now a 9-5 contest.
Oh, good battle there by Gian, way ahead, 3-0. Rowe delivers a strike. That one way away, and a lot of excitement from Gian on the walk. As Stanford here has come into their own with a 5 spot to take a 4-run lead, and every run now becomes more insurance as the Hokies are down to their final 6 outs. And this game has changed very quickly. You can feel the fans out of it a little bit. Third base dugout pretty quiet. Stanford here trying to find a way to continue what's been a very productive inning for the visitors.
They'll look to do it with another pinch hitter. This is, of course, a spot where they utilized someone off the bench. When it last rolled around, they turned to Sebastian David here. Think about what Court McDonald, who is back out on deck, did in the pinch hitting role out of the 8 spot to get all this rolling. Having worked back around to the 7 hole, it's Sebastian's turn. Sebastian David. Two balls and a strike. Bases loaded in a 5-run 8th inning. Just missed that one. Even things 2-2.
Again, you want to stay away from the full count if you can. Base runner's able to get a head start. Obviously got to execute. So right here, 2-2. If you're Rowe, you're looking to get it done on this pitch. Sebastian David knows that in the pinch hit role.
There's a called strike 3. It will leave them loaded, but Stanford bats around in the 8th inning. And they take a 5-4 deficit, turn it into a 9-5 advantage.
See Sasaki to the wall, and there the golf swing from Tokheim for his 2nd home run here in this ball game. 9-5 lead for Stanford. 6 outs remaining for the Hokies.
Gomez called upon now with Stanford's world completely different after that top half of the 8th inning.
Well, and that's why you play 9. Stanford able to get it done in the 8th. We've seen a lot of runs scored in this game, but First crooked number is they did a great job offensively to work with 2 outs, something Virginia Tech's done well all day, but able to get to the bullpen a little bit and take that 4-run lead here into the bottom half of the 8th, as the Hokies will see 8-9-1 coming to the plate. And a new catcher behind the plate for the Cardinal, and Nolan Stoles coming in to be the backstop here, with Gomez taking the mound. And again, momentum switch. Donald will stay in the game as well defensively in right field. The one who got it all going with 2 outs with that push to the left side. But I want to talk about momentum shifting in this one as the Cardinal find themselves on top 9-5.
And you think about the long-term impact of that to the series here in the opener, what became an afternoon opener. You can see why. Sky's darkening here in Blacksburg, Virginia, in more ways than one right now for the Hokies, as they will have, as you said, to get something started with Cook, Hurt, and then Groove against this entirely new battery for the Stanford Cardinal. Been a good day for Cook so far, single and a double in this one, with that top out sandwiched in between for a 2-for-3 day. Stanford led 2-0, 3-2, and 4-3. Its home run flipped it to 5-4 Hokies before that crooked number in the 8th.
I was going to say, after the 5-4, credit the bullpens, right? A couple zeros in the 6th, couple more in the 7th, finally settled in a little bit. Credit O'Haron on the Cardinal side and what he was able to do. Pretty good job by Preston Crowell for Virginia Tech in relief. But then the big bang with 2 outs in the top of the 8th.
Two-out hitting, something we've highlighted throughout the day. Now trending Stanford 7 of 15 in that department. Hokies had the early headlines when it came to two-out hitting. They're now 6 of 13, 2 down. You know, Virginia Tech with this sizable deficit now, not wanting to wait until the 2-out scenario to begin to get something jump-started. Hokies have 9 hits in the game, but have not scored since that homer back in inning number 5. Cook is retired. He swings through this offering at 94 on the gun.
Well, and you saw a good at bat and a good battle. Good job by Cook to stay in that one, but then Gomez just kind of overpowers with the fastball there. Outer half. Fired up after that strikeout for a big first one here in the 8th.
Hokies trying to do something they have not done yet this year, and that would be battle back from a deficit of 4 runs or more from this juncture in the game forward. Jumpstart that effort from the bottom portion of the order. They hurt today. Walking a run scored in the 2nd inning. Finding the outer portion of the zone, he paints the black here to even at 2-2. Looking for the same location, that just a little further out this time.
Good pitch there, outer half. Does run it full, but trying to get Hurt to chase one. Good job by Willie Hurt to hold up.
It's fouled off. It'll stay 3-2 from the 4th Stanford pitcher of the day. Marsh, Dugan, O'Haron ahead of him. the 9-hole hitter in the Virginia Tech lineup. Sends another down that left field side and foul.
Oh, we've seen this so much today from both clubs, doing a good job at the plate to make the pitchers work. Hurt really trying to find a way aboard. Get it back to the top of the lineup for the Hokies. Don't have to get 4 back here, but like to get 1 or 2, chip away at the deficit. Good at bat.
That'll get it started. Burke works his way down to first. Love seeing that kid a moment ago finding that baseball right at the base of the tree. A little practice for the Easter egg hunt coming up a little later this week, perhaps, right?
That's exactly right.
Take home a souvenir with you. Austin, so much of everything else sometimes, a chance to come to the yard, take home a memory. Good to see that. You talked about how much these players were enjoying themselves earlier today. Fans certainly have been. It's been a tight one up to now. Hokies trying to tighten it up a bit, down 4 late. And they got the top of the order now with a man aboard and 1 away.
Yeah, top of the lineup, as you mentioned, Grube able to get it done last weekend against the Blue Devils. Trying to find a way here to add another base runner to the base paths as he takes a strike inner half there off speed. Good execution by Gomez. Hokies get a couple aboard, get to the middle of the park. You're a swing away from either a tie game, maybe a 1-run game, put a little pressure back in the visiting dugout heading into the final frame. Gomez here trying to shut it down, keep it a 4-run lead.
Count having been worked to 2 balls and a strike. Man trying to make his way aboard for the first time. Center field coming right in on that Virginia Tech logo and making a catch. Ethan Hott. There are 2 down. Well, it's going to be up to a guy who's already made his mark on this baseball game. Pete Daniel with 3 singles to his credit in this one. Part of a 3-for-4 day comes to the plate now. He'll look at a first pitch 91 right down the heart. It's 20 pitches thrown for the right-hander. And this is sent right center. That is going to get down. Head for second, and the throw in behind him. Daniel again makes a contribution. How about 4 hits and 5 trips to the plate today for Pete Daniel, who puts 2 in scoring position with 2 down.
It's great contact there. We talked about McDonald in the last half in the pinch hit roll. He doesn't hit it really that hard, but he gets the job done with 2 outs to keep the inning alive, and look what happened behind it. Here, Pete Daniel, who's been so good for Virginia Tech here today, able to push one as well that just gets down to the right side. Good base running by Willie Hurt around second and into third. So again, not trying to get 4 back at once, but Virginia Tech now with 2 outs, a hit away from bringing 2 back and cutting this lead in half, again with the 9th inning in front of us in game 1.
Pivotal at bat right now for Ethan Ball. Going to make his first offensive contribution of the day. And you said it. 1 well-placed knock and the lead cut in half. And that's deep right field. Gonna go against the base of the wall. That's exactly what he will do with a 2-bagger to make it a 9-7 contest here in the bottom of the 8th. What is it about 2-out noise in this series opener?
Yeah, unbelievable. He was kind of curious about that first pitch strike, does a good job to get back in there, and then the ball elevated over the heart of the plate. He's able to get extended, and you see that ball driven to the wall, 1 hop off the wall, 2 runs in, easily into second base. So that 8th run for Virginia Tech into scoring position. And to your point, I guess you just have to get 2 outs and then let it happen from there for both of these clubs.
Started with 2 down. The adventure continues from that moment forward. tying run to the plate for the Hokies in the form of the guy we highlighted coming into the weekend. Hudson Luderman, who is already singled on a couple of occasions today. Been aboard 3 times. We'll have a little conversation with our umpire while the new battery, remember, entirely new battery this inning for Stanford as they talk things over.
Now 2 teams here fighting for a Game 1 victory in a pivotal series. You touched on it a couple times. Both clubs trying to get going. Hokies coming in at 4-5. One less series for Stanford at 1-5 in conference, and the back and forth continues. Is now 9-7, 12 hits Cardinal, 11 for the Hokies. Mound visit here, quiet in the pen, a little bit of movement, but not ready. So this is going to remain Gomez's inning here with 2 outs recorded. But Luderman at the plate, Hokies threatening and trying to bounce back after that. I take it back, they will go to the pen. So someone was ready to go, and Gomez will make his way to the dugout.
Change being made in a 2-run game. No runs safe on this Friday in the ACC. Bullpen as Trevor Moore, the right-hander, now takes over. Golden, Colorado native. Latest to climb the hill for the visitors from the West Coast.
Yeah, senior right-hander here's trying to find a way out of this jam. Great job by the Virginia Tech offense with 2 outs to get something going, and capped off by Ball so far with the double to right center. As you mentioned, a call to the pen, 5th arm for Stanford. And Trevor Moore coming out here. You see 3-1, 11th appearance. Good to 13 hits, twice as many strikeouts as walks. Right-hander here just wants an out anyway he can get it, keeping this a 2-run ball game for Stanford. But keep in mind, again, both clubs will get another at bat, and we have not seen a ton of zeros out there. So we'll see where the runs end in this one in the currently 9-7 game.
Of course, his team coming away with a 5 spot in the top of this 8th inning. Take what was the largest lead enjoyed on either side today. Now trimmed to 2, tying run to the plate for the Hokies. And the other storyline we're watching, the deeper we go and the changes being made and the weather looking a little more threatening as you glance at the skies. And we cross over 4 o'clock, pushing toward 4:15 here. You know, this was about the time the weather was supposed to begin to arrive. We've had some drizzles along the way, and the reason for the 1 o'clock start today to try to avoid running into any issues with the rain. This one not yet having reached the 9th, and Hokies with designs on still chasing that 9. The Cardinal have on the board here in the bottom of the 8th. 9-7 our score. Out of Colorado gets ahead atop the mound at 0-1. Prime spot for Luderman. And that is skied third base side, but well foul. Onto that terraced berm.
Oh, good job by Moore here to get way ahead 0-2. Opportunity to mix a little bit now. Trust your catcher, put one in the turf. See if you can get Luderman to chase. On the other side, trying to battle out of a hold here and find a way to trade places with Ethan Ball out at second.
And he'll wave out in front of this one as the Stanford bullpen comes in and stops things with the 2 runs in. 2-run game as we head to the 9th.
2-run ball game. Great job by Moore to execute there. Good spinner on the outer half. 9-7, 6 outs remaining.
Visit to Blacksburg for the Stanford Cardinal. They lead it by 2 as we enter the 9th inning Game 1 of the series. Of course, Game 2 tomorrow, also of the afternoon variety, a 3 p.m. Eastern start. You see the starting pitchers slated to throw tomorrow. The job right now, limit the taxation on the bullpen when you know there are 2 more coming. This one and, of course, the finale at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Combined 7 runs between the 2 teams in the 8th inning. We'll see what the 9th holds, and it starts with a bang. Gordon McDonald, the Texan, has made the most of his 2 plate appearances in this contest. A 2-for-2 day off the bench for Stanford.
Yeah, and that one hit a little harder than the first one. They got things going with 2 outs in the last inning where they were able to put up the 5 spot. So good job in that role to come off the bench and execute. And that one hard to the right side. Good job by Luderman. Throws behind the base runner there, just taking a chance. But McDonald back safely. And to your point right here, 1 more inning battling for that opportunity to come out tomorrow and win a series. The other squad on the losing end, of course, hoping to salvage and force a meaningful Game 3. So a lot at play.
How important is this potential 3-run lead for Stanford? You just saw the 9-hole hitter hot. Ahead, of course, of Sasaki. And the top of the order show, at least momentarily, a bunt. They'll throw over to first. Check and see what's happening as McDonald is chased back to the bag. Rashad singled in that productive 8th inning and came around to score a run.
See Rowe here expecting some movement as well. Maybe a bunt, trying to get into position. So get McDonald moving back safely twice. Maybe seeing if he can get hot to throw hands again here and see if they're still playing small ball at the plate.
Answer is yes. He will square around but bunts this foul. 2 strikes on the 9-hole hitter now. Stanford, after being held scoreless in the 6th and 7th innings, exploding for those 5 and all that 2-out magic in the 8th. To the tune of a 9-7 lead and looking for a little further insurance with that runner out there first. But 2 strikes now, and Ott will swing away. Fouls at third base side. Sasaki on deck, Tokheim in the hole. A combined 6 hits between them. Both 3 for 4 in the contest thus far, and a combined 3 home runs between them along the way. If you have not been with us throughout this one, Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates, those top 3 spots in the order, all responsible for leaving the yard at one time or another. And with now a 2-hit effort for Moran, each of the first 4 spots having made major contributions in this one today. Here's the guy trying to roll it back around to that part of the order with a man aboard and nobody out. Breaking ball stays off the plate to even things 2-2. Combined 24 hits now. 16 total runs. Pretty cleanly played baseball game as well. Just the 1 error on the board. Charge to the Cardinal infield a little earlier in this contest. Here's the 2-2. Fouled off first base side. Our game now pushing toward 3.5 hours old. On this Friday, that the name of the game was Beat the Weather. That is certainly on the way to the New River Valley this evening. 2-2. We are in the 9th. It goes 3-2. you are peeking ahead, 5, 6, and 7 are due up in the Virginia Tech order. First things first, though, the Hokies bullpen looking to hold serve with Stanford up 2. Getting a little tougher at bat by at bat as there are now 2 aboard with nobody away. And here is that dangerous portion of the order where the majority of the damage has been done in this contest.
Yeah, unfortunately for Virginia Tech, you got to find a way to have an out. Ideally a couple there in the 8-9 spots in this inning as they turn it over to the top now in Sasaki, as you've touched on. And it gets very difficult here, has been all day, at least for Virginia Tech. No outs, 2 aboard. Stanford already with the 2-run lead, but absolutely want to find a way to extend here, make the bottom half of the 9th a little easier for their bullpen. Good execution from Rowe there on the off speed to Sasaki for strike 1.
8 of the 9 runs have been driven home by Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates. They have combined for 7 hits, and they have scored 7 times.
Hokies looking to get creative, a little back pick there. Group playing deep, good execution on the 1-3 coordination, but hot back safely.
In play and taking the sure out at first. Group thought about what else may be available, but made sure he at least put 1 out on the scoreboard. That will move both runners into scoring position for Tokheim, who has twice homered as part of a 3-for-4 effort today.
Now he's been good enough for a mound visit here from the Virginia Tech pitching coach. At least he suggested he was coming out, and now he retreats on the stairs, so he will not visit. They're going to put him on instead. Keep it simple here, move it down, get the matchup between Rowe and Bates here.
Tokheim's had what most people would consider to be a pretty solid weekend in this opener.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, good day at the plate, and now the mound visit after putting him on, and going to go to the pen here. So we'll get a move with the bases loaded, and end of the day here for Brody Rowe.
Hokies getting set to turn to what will be a 5th pitcher in this series opener against Stanford. Going to bring Luke Crater to the mound.
Yeah, tall, hard-throwing right-hander here, the senior out of Charlottesville, coming in here in a tough spot, following Brody Rowe, bases loaded. Just 1 out recorded, heart of the lineup here. You see pretty good numbers, and while they're going to lean on Crater here, again, hard-throwing right-hander, 3-0, 14 strikeouts, just 2 walks. Really nowhere to put this Stanford lineup as they try to work out of this jam in the top of the 9th. Keep it a 2-run ball game. Give the Virginia Tech offense a chance with 3 outs remaining. But as we touched on during the break as well, the weather is approaching. Both of these teams fighting for a Game 1 victory, opportunity to win a series tomorrow, and here we are, 1 out in the 9th.
The Texan Court McDonald started this with a single. Hot drew a walk. Sasaki had a ground ball that moved them both into scoring position, and Virginia Tech, just before making this pitching change, opted to provide a free pass to Teddy Tokheim, who has been the slugging story of the day, and he's not the only one with a slugging moment today. Here's Charlie Bates earlier in the contest.
Yeah, left-handed hitting Bates there, again gets elevated opposite field, but enough strength and enough on that one there to push it out as he celebrates with his bullpen around first, and as you mentioned, steps back in here with an opportunity, bases loaded, and insurance on the base paths indeed.
That was in the 5th frame. McDonald is at 3rd, Hott is at 2nd, Tokheim at 1st this go round as they are loaded up in front of him. First pitch to Bates, missing. In addition to the home run, he walked, stole a bag, and scored a run as a part of the 8th inning rally. Backed against the wall. Prater delivers the 2-0, and it's 2-1 as he gets this fouled off. Stanford led right out of the chute, 2-0, with one of Tokheim's homers. Virginia Tech evened it up in the bottom of the second, 2 apiece. Stanford led 3-2, 4-3 before the Hokies took a 5-4 advantage. Then the 8th inning came. 5 spot for the Cardinal there, making it 9-5. Hokies answered with a couple, and that's where we sit, 9-7. But that 2-run deficit in position to grow as the Cardinal looked for more. 3-1 the count. But with the sacks full. In the zone. Now the count also full.
Quality pitch there from Prater. 3-1 off speed over the heart of the plate. Good job of executing, but only as good as this one here. Now 3-2, 1 out recorded and the bases loaded.
Yeah, and I'll underscore that. A reminder, just 1 out in the inning. Make it 2. Gets a swing and a miss for strike 3. A strikeout situation. That much is sure, and that's exactly what Luke Prater comes on and gets.
That's a great job by the right-hander out of the pen. Bases loaded, tough position. Falls behind 2-0, able to go 2-1, 3-1. 3-2 pitch was tremendous over the heart of the plate to get it to that point, and then execution there down in the zone, able to get Charlie Bates to commit on swinging strike 3. So 2 outs recorded. Hokies an out away, pitch away from keeping it a 2-run ball game.
But here's the cleanup man, Moran, who has twice walked and twice singled in the game. First pitch, his direction, down for ball 1.
Well, we've made it to that point, right? 2 outs. This is when it all happens for both of the clubs. See if Hokies can put an end to that theme, or if Stanford continues and finds a way to position themselves well here going into the bottom half of the ninth.
And Moran's got to be glad to be in a position to hit here. Remember, a couple of times the free pass has been handed out. He's been in the thick of it, of the intentional variety. But here, there is nowhere to put him. He's going to get a crack at it. Looks at the first 2 out of the zone. Having journeyed to the top half of the 9th inning, will it be a 2-run deficit for the Hokies when they bat in the bottom? Moran gave it a ride. Answers yes, though. Gates is backing up on it. At the front of the track, he's got it. It's hold steady at 9-7. 5, 6, 7 coming up. Holding out hope that the weather is going to hold. This was a game originally scheduled to start about an hour and a half from now. Instead, it was a 1 p.m. first pitch because of weather coming around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock today. Well, we're right in the middle of that. And it certainly feels like that weather is on the way. But we play on in the bottom of the 9th inning. Locurdo to be followed by Gates and Gibson, who had the big swing for Virginia Tech in this one. Scheduled to hit in the bottom of the 9th. Hokies trail by 2 in the series opener. First ever meeting here in Blacksburg between the Cardinal of Stanford and Virginia Tech. Locurdo a double and drove home a run all the way back in the 3rd inning. Hokies led it 5-4 entering the 8th inning. The Cardinal plated 5 in that 8th frame, trying now to hang on by a couple. If you are just finding us, this is a day that has been marked by 2-out noise. A combined 15 hits between these two teams with 2 outs in a given inning. There is the first out of the bottom of the 9th inning. Comes via the strikeout for Moore.
Yeah, Moore's been good out of the pen. We see him coming back here in his 2nd inning of work and good execution down in the zone. Stole behind the plate. 2nd catcher here today for Stanford, able to hold on to that one for the first out, and exactly what you want to do with a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 9th. Don't let the tying run come to the plate. So far, so good for Moore and the Cardinal.
Here's a grad student, Gates. He was hit by a pitch. On his way to 2nd, swiping one in the 7th. At the prime moment of his day thus far. Up to the plate 0 for 3 here in the bottom of the 9th. Takes a look at strike 1. Sky's having really darkened as Trevor Moore is going to have to squint a little bit looking at that wrist to see what he's supposed to do next as the stadium lights become noticeable here in Blacksburg.
Welcome to Blacksburg.
Yeah, you got it.
Weather can change in a hurry. Weather can change in a hurry.
If you don't like it, just wait a minute, huh? Little breeze from right to left as a 2-1 is chopped foul, making 2-2.
And the plan's still the same here for Virginia Tech. Moore a pitch away from 2 outs, and just one more to close the book on this game. If you're Virginia Tech, got to find a way to get one aboard. Guy on deck's been able to lift one into the left field corner already in this ball game. That would tie things, but not without Gates on the base paths.
Hokies have to have a mind toward more than that. Stanford thinking button this up right now before this weather comes, and Virginia Tech's got to be thinking score 3, tie it. I don't know if extra innings could happen in this scenario. You're looking at perhaps a little later situation. It's getting a little later for the Hokies right now as there's a called strike 3, a beautifully placed pitch that puts Stanford on the doorstep.
That's a great pitch here, well executed, and you could tell Gates knew it. No hesitation. No frustration there, just frozen at the plate. Good job by Moore to execute 2 outs. And now we'll get the pinch hit opportunity from Tracy Hughes for the Hokies, who's been swinging a bat for a few innings now. See if he can find a way aboard and extend things here in the 9th.
Hokies scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th to cut what was a high water mark 4-run lead in half. Those are the numbers thus far for the senior. Tracy Hughes does stand in. Last hope for Virginia Tech. Need a base runner to get that tying run to the plate. Reminder, we'll be back with you on the ACC Network at 3 p.m. tomorrow. It's a 1 o'clock start on Sunday in the series finale. Stanford an out away from taking the opener. If they do, you tip your cap to the Cardinal, who will have traveled across the country, started in the morning hours on the opening day of their journey through Blacksburg for the very first time, and utilized a fast start bookended by a solid 8th in an effort to get the job done and pick up a 2nd ACC win this season. 1 pitch away perhaps now as Hughes is in a 1-2 hole. Called strike 3, and that's the ball game. As the 5th pitcher of the day for Stanford, Trevor Moore, comes on and slams the door in the 9th inning of what is a 9-7 final. The Cardinal solid with power at the top of the lineup, and you get a power arm to close it off.
Yeah, you do. A lot to unfold here. A lot of hits, a lot of runs, a lot of arms. But bottom line is Stanford finds a way to get it done here on the road, as you mentioned. 13 hits, 9 runs. Hokies try to battle back, able to cut the lead in half late in this one, but nothing doing in the bottom of the ninth, and a Game 1 victory for the visitors.
You know, with a Coach Dave Esker-led Stanford squad, you're going to get a potent offense. The top portion of his order, remarkable today. All 3 of the top 3 spots leave the yard. The home run ball utilized early, and then the 5 spot in the 8th inning, making the difference. A reminder, we're back with you at 3 p.m. tomorrow. For my broadcast partner, Andrew Wells, for Evan Ellis, his entire outstanding crew here in Blacksburg, Jason Patterson saying, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Dodge the weather. Stanford takes Game 1 of the series against the Hokies.